Alrighty, we're out of non-public. While in non-public, personnel issues were discussed and no votes were taken. Next item on our agenda is a pledge of allegiance. Public flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda review, public comments are open.
Starting at 7:05.
Oh, no, they may have looked at it. Did I put 7:30 on the? I guess we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, we can wait.
We can wait. for the
We can
comments.
open
Because
it
I
up
put
at
that at
7:30.
7:30, okay. All righty, our presentation took less time than we thought. All right, agenda review, anything to add or change?
That motion about the bus, you want to do that right now?
Thank you, okay, yes.
Okay, so I move we accept the proposal from the parent of the Barrington student to allow their student to ride the bus to Co-Brown.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
Discussion?
Just as long as the bus is not overfilled.
Yes, yes.
That's my
And
only
Rob, would you
concern.
let the superintendent know that we're doing that? Because I think it's good for reciprocity if we ever have a student going to do this, they're using their buses. Okay, all right. Katrina,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes,
Jess? Yes. Liz?
Yes.
And Debbie, yes, okay. All righty. So, anything else for agenda review?
I just had a question.
Sure.
The delegate assembly, were we gonna look at the resolutions next time just beforehand?
I don't know, Eric wanted to talk about it, so I'm not sure what Eric.
I didn't hear.
The delegate assembly, I didn't know if we needed to
Oh.
look at the resolutions before.
So we have one more meeting before the delegate assembly. It's October 14th.
Okay,
I did not have time for the next meeting, if we could have those printed out for
Okay.
everybody to review,
okay,
sent out in our packet, so we were ready to vote on those for
okay.
next meeting. And
Point of clarification, October 11th. I just don't want anybody at home to get confused. October
yes, the delegate assembly is October
11th. Oh,
14th.
misunderstood.
The
Sorry.
meeting, our next meeting is the 11th. And what we did talk about at the last meeting, I can update, because it's NHSBA delegate is on here.
Right.
But I did receive some information about our subscription services to the NHSBA.
Okay, so we'll do that during the committee update.
Yep.
Okay, good. Anything else? No? Okay. Alrighty, next we have our approval of school board minutes, 8/8/22, and 9/13. Public and non-public. Do you want to do it together or one at a time? What do you want to do? We want to make a motion?
I'll motion them together.
Okay.
So I move we accept the public and non-public minutes from the August 8th, non-public, August 22nd, and September 13th, non-public and public minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
Okay, discussion.
I just have a request, when these minutes get scanned in, would it be possible to have the agenda from that meeting scanned in with them?
That's good.
There's times, like when I'm trying to go back and find policies that we have discussed, I'm trying to remember what month we did them in.
Okay. That's a good idea. Okay. I had more things on my packet that's home, but I do on page 3, line 133. When the principal is talking about the increase of over 200 minutes per month, it's in core subject area, but that's what the increase is.
Page, you have the right-hand corner.
Upper 9.
9, page 9.
Oh,
Okay, so it's line 133. So it says over 200 minutes per month in the core subject areas. That's where we regained that. Anybody else see anything?
I have, on page 8, line 81, it's just a typo. It's not to police what students. It's the one,
August
August
22nd.
2nd, page 8, line 81.
Oh, not to police, it's a policy.
Police, not policy.
Yeah, right.
In line, page 5.
Upper right-hand corner.
11.
Page
Upper
11.
right hand corner, page 11.
Cool.
Line 142. It should be about an administrator in a stipend
Oh,
position.
No strident?
Yeah.
Line, did you have more?
Nope, that was it.
Line 69 on
Upper
page
right,
8.
upper right-hand corner, 8?
Yep.
Okay.
Clark, for Carolyn Clark, that's spelled differently than it's spelled on the members of the public on the preceding page.
Oh, yeah, so it's
So I'm just not
With or
sure
without
about
E?
that.
Does anybody know?
I think it's with an E, is my gut.
Yeah,
It's what?
It's with an
I
E,
think it
is
is
my
too.
gut.
I think it is too.
She was covering her bases, right?
Right.
Still one.
Yeah.
It is with an E?
It's with an E, okay, perfect. Yes, just for clarification, the number in the upper right-hand corner, regardless of where you're at in the packet, is the numbering system. Because every document seems to have numbers on it somewhere.
yeah, no, exactly.
I've been trying to do that up in the upper right-hand corner to make sure it's clear.
Yeah. no,
Okay, page 20, line 52, it's principal with an AL,
Page again, I'm
or
sorry,
51 rather. Line, what is it, 20?
page 20, line 51. Oh, yeah. So it's not the principal of it, it's the principal.
Is your
The principal is your pal.
I have page 23, line 121 for the bleacher repair. It's $1,385.
Ooh, okay.
13.
Let's say the number again, it's supposed
It's
to
what,
be,
it just, yeah, it's 1,385.
okay.
Oh yeah, we have that Clark again on page 19, line 43, Caroline.
Okay.
No, it should be an E.
Okay. Page 29, line 248. Lynn has an E at the end of it. I will note that if all we're correcting is a
I
random
know.
spelling thing we missed, these
Yes.
minutes are pretty,
Oh, the
They are
minutes
pretty
are
good.
very good. Actually, I like the minutes
I do.
because they're really concise, but they're good. They're just capturing all the
Mhm.
important things. All right, good? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so with all of the noted corrections, we're going to vote because we didn't vote to accept. Okay, Katrina,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes,
Jess, Liz,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. District goals update, so this is, Robert, you want to give us an update?
Sure. So we've been continuing to work with our folks that we've hired to come in and do the consulting work for us. There was some pushback in a couple of areas by some of the staff, but the consultants have been really effective in working through those areas of concern with them. I think some of the initial feedback from folks has been that the consultants are really great at communicating with them and meeting with them and kind of meeting them where they're at. I think the pushback's also been though that there's a lot on people's plates right now, and so there's just a feeling like it's a little daunting. Some folks have already started the letters training and some other things like that. There's a lot of time involved in these various activities and projects. So there's definitely a sense that we're on the move, but at the same time, there's some stress there. You know, I've said it before myself, if there's no discomfort, then you're not growing. So, I mean, there has to be discomfort, I think. We're just trying to manage that so it doesn't get out of control. But definitely consultants are here, they're doing a great job, and I've been impressed with the work so far.
Rob, what was, I asked Rob a question about this because I process things after the meeting. And I think Danielle was talking about, what was it with the P? She called it, it was in the little video that we received, the different areas. It started with P. Each person had a different area to focus on. So was a priority, it was something else, but maybe Liz will look it up. So I didn't understand that, and what was it? It's a PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, there were 3 areas and I had to pick one.
Yes, so I asked Rob, I said, and I think Danielle, when she was sharing the update, she said that
Was
too,
it
and I said,
promoting collaborative?
yeah, but the overall, there were, that was called something.
Okay, hold on.
Anyway, so I asked Rob, does that mean that people aren't all getting the math or aren't all getting the behavior or so forth? And Rob explained that to me. That was a really good explanation. You want to share with everybody?
Gosh, let me try and do it the way I did with Debbie. So basically what happened was everybody on the first day, they were told that there's these 4 things we're going to be working on, right? We've got, I'll just keep it simple. I know there's different language for it, but behavior kind of management, ELA type of curriculum, type of related things. So whether that was reading, writing, things of that nature. And then we had, of course, math instruction and the pieces that went along with that, and then communication. So everybody was kind of explained that, hey, here's all these things that are going on. And if you tell people that you're going to have to work on 4 areas, and that's overwhelming, right? So people would become very much overwhelmed. So what we said to them instead was, we want you to work, and they had plenty of time to have conversations among themselves. Their administrators were there, evaluators were there, consultants were there. Everybody was there talking with them to try and figure out, well, what is going to be the area that I'm going to say is my top one, the thing that is my priority for the year. So for example, if you're doing letters training this year, it probably for a lot of people ended up being on their top, right? Because they're like, okay, that's going to consume already out of this year 10 8-hour days. I already know that. So that's a huge undertaking. Not to mention a whole bunch of stuff that they do on their own time. So a lot of folks were choosing letters. Some people were choosing wisdom. Some people were choosing the math and that sort of thing. And some people, well, actually nobody was choosing communication, because communication was to be woven into all of them. To simplify this, we said, everybody's going to work on communication. We're going to help weave that into each of the different paths, whichever path you choose to do.
Is it
Is that the
pathway?
P?
Maybe it was
Okay,
pathway.
maybe that's
Three pathways to
Pathway.
empowered learning.
Yes.
So they chose amongst those 3. Everybody said this is my priority, and like I said, it went through multiple levels of conversation, review, and all that sort of thing. But at the end, they settled on it, and now everybody has that priority item, right? That pathway. But they're getting all of it. So for example, on Tuesdays we do trainings. Every Tuesday there's a training, and on one of the Tuesdays they did this whole thing around communication. So everybody got that one. On another day, they're going to do one all about math. So everybody's going to get that one, so on and so forth. So there's these trainings that are going on, whether it's the Tuesday mornings or the faculty meetings or whatever, when they're doing these whole group instructional pieces where everybody's getting some, but they still have their priority areas, the thing that they're most focused on. It helps people, I think, keep it a little straight in their heads, keeps them from feeling overwhelmed. Somewhat from being overwhelmed or as much overwhelmed. But once again, it seems to be working right now. The people really seem to have bought into that concept of this is my priority area, my path, and then I've got these other things that I'm working on as well, and the communication piece being woven in throughout to say everybody's got to improve on the communication. So that's kind of what's been going on with that, and obviously the proof will be in the pudding, right? We got to get a little more time under our belt, see how things start to roll out in October here. but initial feedback has been pretty positive.
So did you say though too, that even though people have a certain pathway that they've chosen, the math consultants will be still going into each room?
Yep.
And the behavior consultants will still be
Okay.
going into each room?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
So the behavior and the math consultant, we have two different, Erin and Lauren, right? They are going into every single room and doing observations, providing feedback, things of that nature. The people who have math as their priority or their path, they're spending even more time with Lauren where they schedule things, where they actually schedule observations and conversations and feedback and all that kind of stuff. So they get that a little bit extra. Those that are really focusing on the behavior kind of stuff, they're scheduling additional time with Erin. So this sort of thing's going on. And then Allie is kind of bigger picture. She's working on all of the above. She's doing a lot of those whole group trainings. She's preparing a lot of stuff. She's doing the admin training, things like that. So once again, even the admin, all of us are getting professionally developed this year.
I guess I'll ask the question. We have these consultants and their focus is those two areas, the math and the behavior.
So the person, remember we brought Lauren and Allie in for the math. What we all realized very quickly was they're also experts in wit and wisdom and letters.
Mhm.
So what we did was we agreed, let's expand their support into all of those areas. So Lauren's really getting into every single classroom. She's seeing everybody. And Allie's doing training for
Okay.
everybody. And a lot of the stuff that you do when you talk about like a good instructional strategy, it's a good instructional strategy no matter what the topic area is. So they might be focusing on math and talking about that strategy in math, but she might then say, okay, now how would we expand that strategy if, say, it was your ELA class? How would you take this if you were teaching something else?
I guess I just would hate to see the math suffer because that's what that's what I was under the impression they were here to do.
They are, and they're doing it.
I didn't realize, was it Ally who was the math person?
Allie and Lauren both are here as the math consultant duo. Allie is your kind of big picture, the planner, the trainer.
You met Ally?
Yep,
Okay.
and you met Lauren as well. She was here the very first time, way back in the spring. And then Lauren is the person that's boots on the ground. She's in the classroom, she's doing the conversation, she's meeting with the people, she's giving them direct feedback. So they're both working for us. They're both getting, both part of the process.
But they're not just doing math now, they're also doing wit and wisdom.
Their focus is math, but they're able to make those connections to the other areas. They're able to say, hey, this is a good instructional practice, whether you're doing math or reading, whether you're doing math or writing, whether you're doing math or science or social studies. So they're able to take that and expand upon it so people are thinking about that more holistically and looking at it more big picture.
And now, was she going to, or both of them going to do a presentation for parents at some point? I thought we talked about like an October presentation for parents.
Good question. Don't know the answer to that one. I have asked them to put together something for the October 11th board meeting. So they're working on that. And one or more may join through a Zoom type situation, but I'm not positive of that yet. But they definitely are preparing a report for us so that they're giving us updates. I said to them, I said, hey, you think about it, it was May or June when you guys approved them. It's been a long time since then. I said, I think it's time to bring it back. And you would ask for some specific types of numbers, like how many are in this path? How many are
Yes,
in that
that's
path?
what I asked, yeah.
Right,
Like,
so
how
they
many
know
people
that,
Are focusing, have the pathway for math, how many people are focusing on letters and so forth. When they do their presentation, if they're doing some specific activities in the classroom, if they have permission to take photographs, I'd just love to see, we talked about being visual, like, if they did a presentation to see some things like, oh, you went in and we did this math game or this activity or something.
So you're looking for photographic type
Well,
of
if
like
they-
review.
If they have,
Visual
I don't know
review.
if other people feel that way. I like to see things because I'm a visual learner, so
Right.
I don't know if anybody else.
So, as I was walking around, were you talking about the numbers of staff on what pathways?
Right.
You were asking that,
Yes.
okay.
I
All
think
right,
we're gonna get that on the 11th,
That's the plan.
okay.
and that's only if they have permission. I know that sometimes they don't have permission for
Right.
photograph and stuff,
It's very-
so it's only if it's not inconvenient. All right, so good with the goals? Good? All right, superintendent's report, the manifest is going around.
Yeah, Jessica signed it, I signed
Do you
it.
have any questions?
There was a late fee on the breeze line bill, but that might just be the result of doing them one versus two.
Yeah, it's only $10.
The breeze line bill just had a $10 late fee on it. It might just be that we were trying to do it once a month and then we switched back.
It's
Right.
possible. I'd say
Yeah.
wait for the next bill and see if there's another
Yeah.
one, because that's very possible. We had some companies that wouldn't flex with us, and that's why we did shift back to doing them every meeting, so.
But otherwise, no, I think
That look good?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. All right, financial report. My notes are on paper.
I highlighted a bunch of stuff.
All right, so I guess, do you want to go through it with questions, like by page?
Yes, I just noticed, most of it was things that seem to be spent a lot of already that should, the budget line should last the whole year. Supplies on phys ed has already been spent a little bit over. I'm guessing that was just things for the year that, same with science. Oh, that was my question. At the end of last year with the surplus, we had approved that money that had been frozen to go.
Right.
I was wondering if some of that had transferred over to this budget year, when it could have come from the 20.
So there are several
Yeah.
lines on here that I already know they didn't apply to the right year, and Elizabeth is working with Bruce to get those rectified, because we can't change it on our end. It's not something we can change.
Okay,
Only the BMSI folks can, so she's been working with them, and so some of those numbers are potentially already updated. What I will say is that supplies should be as close to zero as they can get them, because I've said to them all along, these are supplies for this year. They shouldn't be spending their supply dollars in June. So that's something that I've been giving that feedback regularly, and I hope to see the supply lines actually get drawn down rather quickly, because they should be buying the supplies that they need for this year. They shouldn't be waiting and putting it off. If I've got some money left over, I'm gonna buy all the stuff for next year, which is what I see happen a lot of the time, and I keep explaining, that's not what this year's money is for. The
Right.
people in this town said, hey, we want you to spend this much, we want you to spend $1,000 on physical education. That means for this year, for these kids, so.
yes, yeah, that was where I was going with that, maybe this was last year's money that was.
So there could be a couple of these that have that going
Okay.
on, but at the same time, it could be the physical ed needed a little bit more money.
Right,
And they went over by $100, and I don't know that off the top of my head,
Yep.
but whenever these things are happening, Danny usually does check in with me real quick, and be like, hey, I need to go over a little bit, and I'll be like, as long as we don't go over in every supply line, you can shift some money
Right.
around.
which I have no issue, I understand that happens a little bit here and there. On the next page,
Just, I want to say one thing while you're on the.
Go ahead.
So I noticed there's a supply, science, regular ed, and then there's a new science equipment, regular ed. So I don't know what should fall in which category, but there are two that kind of reflect science, so that might be part of it as well, because one isn't spending down.
Well, science equipment is different than supplies, right? Supplies are items that are kind of consumable. So equipment would be like a microscope, and maybe they just haven't purchased any equipment yet. That doesn't mean that they're not going to. I don't, without my notes here, which I don't have, I don't know what that line is technically set aside for. Like if they budgeted something specific, like we're gonna buy 10 new microscopes this year, or if that line was in case something breaks, in case I got to get another one, we have 5 kids moving to the district, we need 5 more microscopes. That's what I don't know without my notes from the budget documentation.
New science equipment.
I don't know what that is, it's not on mine.
You made,
Oh,
That was
oh,
mine.
that's
yours.
right, okay.
I was just on-
Okay, I was like,
all right.
health insurance buyout, special ed, which is $1,252.11, 001 on page 33, it's about a third of the way down. There's an expenditure of $187.52.
So health insurance buyouts are applied to paychecks. So you'll see that number continually get larger and larger
Okay.
and larger until at the end of the year, you should see
Okay.
much more even.
It's not like
numbers.
a lump sum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it used to be done where they paid half in December and half in July or something like, or June. You're not supposed to do it that way. No pay should come in that format because as you earn it, you should be getting it. And by not paying them until December, let's say a paraprofessional left us in November, they didn't get any of their buyout. That's a big no-no with the Department of Labor, right? I mean, you said you're gonna get paid, you gotta get paid. So, and oftentimes what I was finding out was, this, once again, it's all historical stuff, is that nobody would think to pay them that, right? It just wasn't something that was even thought of. So now they're getting paid in a Paris case, 1/22 of that, or in a teacher's case, 1/26 of that. Unfortunately, none of the things started on the first two paychecks, so it's actually 21 and 24 this year. So, but it's fine. It's being divided up equally. They're all getting their paychecks. The union was completely, because it's not laid out in the contract how it has to be paid out. So the union, though I did check in with them, made sure they didn't have any concerns. They didn't. So this is good business practice now, the way it's being
Okay.
done.
And that's, stipends don't have to be that way?
Stipends are getting paid as they turn in their timesheets. Yes, a stipend
Oh,
needs to
okay.
be paid as you earn your stipend. Now, if it's, some people do things differently. Like, I don't know example off the top of my head, but you might have something where you don't do it in an hourly form. Like it's just something that you do over the course of the year, and if you do it, you get paid. That's a little bit different. But most people are doing, like if you're an after-school tutor, as you do your tutoring, you're turning in a timesheet saying, I did 3 hours of tutoring. Then you're gonna get paid for 3 hours of tutoring. Because
Okay.
that's what you should be.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of weird stuff here that I found,
Yeah.
like we didn't pay people until December for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That's huge no-nos.
Oh, okay.
Like people doing summer work and not getting paid until December, you can't do that.
Right.
You work
right.
during the summer, you need to get paid as you work it.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things that we've been cleaning up in the business office is making sure that everything's getting paid as you earn it. And then the same thing for things like unemployment, workers' comp, we weren't doing those right. Now they're in the system right. Now every single paycheck you pay 1/26 of what you need to pay over the course of the year for unemployment. Now remember, they don't pay for unemployment, we do. But we have to still transfer from
Yep.
this line, so you see this line getting smaller, to the 000 line, which is where we actually pay the bill from. Okay, so you're gonna see each of these lines adjusting every time you get one of these. You'll see more and more of that money spent.
Okay.
Are you on page 34 yet? Or are you-
So I'm going on to page 34, and this is just an ESY question
I have the
because
same question too.
some stuff is, like ESY for preschool has not been paid at all.
Yeah.
Does most of ESY happen after July 1st, so we should have already paid out most of the ESY?
All ESY should be paid at this point, but at the same time, did somebody turn something in late? I don't know. What I did find out from this, because these numbers actually look a lot better than they did before. Before they were overdrawn by almost like $10,000. And it was because, once again, they were applying previous year stuff to this year's. We got that all fixed, got that moved back to where it belongs.
Okay.
So it definitely looks better now than it did before, but and there still could be something that's wrong, and I can definitely ask them to dive into ESY a little deeper.
And the
Maybe there wasn't an ESY preschool, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did we
Right,
run an
you could've-
ESY?
Right.
You
the
should.
budget-
See, I don't know, I would assume we had one if,
Usually do.
Okay. Did it potentially get applied to the wrong ESY line? So I'll find out that it could have been that all the timesheets came over and nobody on that one marked it as preschool.
The athletic stipends haven't been touched, and that's, I think you were implying that, right? When you're talking about the stipends.
no, where I was going with the stipends was, I'm aware of the practice that, like, holiday time, everyone got a big,
Right.
of their stipends. And,
So the coaches are not getting their stipends until the end of the season, is that how?
It's a good question. Don't know how that works with them, but I'll check. So coach stipends. Coaches are a little different. I mean, obviously they don't fit into a neat employee category, but at the same time, I would think that they would want some of it as they go, but I'll check. Maybe
It
the
used to
history
be
of
at
it.
the end of the season.
That's
You
probably
got
what
your
it is.
stipend.
Most coaching, I think, is like that. And that's because they don't maintain timesheets, right?
Right.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. They're not your typical employee.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
the job, you pay you the money.
We need a truant officer at some point. I don't think we have,
I thought what we
It's the
did was
chief.
the chief.
it's
He's
it's
been
just roll into that.
Yep, he's been notified. He hasn't sent a
Okay.
request for payment yet.
Okay,
He did say this is probably, he potentially is going to be turning this over to somebody else next year.
yeah,
But for this year, he was still our truant officer, so
Okay.
we did check on that.
all right. Page 37, contracted services, elementary, OT. Is that one where we have paid contracted services, like lump sums up front? Hopefully, and that line is not already 60,
That may have been the
59%
summer.
spent?
That may have been summer too.
So that was my understanding, is that we're still okay with this, that this is like the way it gets paid. So that's
Okay.
my understanding, but I will put a note down to double check that one, but I do remember that being discussed.
Was this over, kept this covered the summer?
That shouldn't cover summer, I don't think,
But I
but it
think,
might have.
I think in the manifest, those are some of the things that have been, like last meeting, I questioned things that were coming out of last year, so I don't know if it's just categorized, but I think those were some of the things that have been voiced.
So just to check on that, that does seem a lot if it's just from the September, August 25th.
It's most likely you pay the contract upfront, or a
Okay.
portion of it upfront. Like a lot of the stuff we pay half, and then at some point during the year, you pay another half. Go rounds and thirds, right?
Right.
So you see large chunks disappear at a time, and it makes you panic a little until you realize, oh, that's a chunk. But I'll find out, I've got it written down.
Almost at, excuse me, course tuition reimbursement, almost at the bottom of that page, line 2210, 5240. I think this is the first year in several years that line has actually started to be spent,
Right.
Which
That's wonderful.
it's a good thing. I'm pretty sure there's requirements in the CBA as to what that gets spent on.
Yeah.
That is that line?
It is, yes.
Okay.
So course tuition reimbursement, teachers are allowed 2 courses a year. No, wait a minute. I'm gonna get it wrong without the
I
contract.
think it's 2 courses a year, the UNH rate, they have to get a C or better. It's at the completion of the course to be reimbursed.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Because they have to show us their grade. That's normally what it is.
Course reimbursement, page 16. Hang on.
I'm
She's
glad to
probably,
see that
she's
line.
probably right, because she usually is, but let me just double check.
Wow.
Pay the tuition registration fees for 1 course per year for each professional employee, 1 course every 2 years for a paraprofessional. Once again, the UNH stuff that you said is all accurate, and it can't exceed $26,000 per year total. In addition, the district will provide tuition and registration fees for 10 additional courses for the professional employees at UNH rate. So I'm assuming that's if somebody goes over at the end of the year, they could ask for another course. So that does allow potentially up to the second one, right? And then the rest of it's in different areas.
Does it say they have to get the grade? I thought they.
I didn't probably go far enough. Let me go.
That was a B.
No?
Each course assistant with responsibilities and civic completion. First. So courses will be reimbursed after successful completion of the course. All course reimbursement shall be contingent upon successful completion of the course with a grade of B or better.
B.
Employee will provide copies of grade reports to the board within 30 days of receipt.
It's nice to see that
Right.
being taken advantage of.
Don't we have a
I like
lot
that.
of uncertified people who are taking advantage of that?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, because they need the courses.
Oh, yeah, that would be
To be
perfect.
certified.
Yep, that's great.
And that one course, we talked about the letters that they can get college credit for. They said the state will pay for that certification. They'll get some.
Letters is providing it through a grant. I don't know if they're paying for the certification. I know they're paying for the
Didn't
letters
they
program.
say the state, something about?
Yeah, it was,
state-
yeah, Danny mentioned something about completing some sort of training or course. The state was like offering, I guess, calling it like a stipend or something.
If
People
you
were
were
complete.
for the college, because you can get college credit.
Right. There's usually, if you get college credit, there's usually another
want me to
component that
find
you
out?
have to do.
I don't think it's that important. I just was curious, because if the state's paying for it, then we didn't have to
The
budget
state's,
for
the
it.
state's paying for the letters program. I don't know if they're paying for a college
Right,
course.
there's usually another component if you want college credit
Right.
for it, so.
That I don't know. Do you want me to get you one?
No, but I think
Okay.
it's good for when we are budgeting for next year, because what we did, according to the CBA, we had to budget, I think it was like 26,000.
Yep.
We kept budgeting over and over and over, and nobody was touching it. So then we went down to, what is it,
Right.
15 or 20 or something? Where is that line? Are people just looking at
A
it?
lot of the people,
It's 15,000.
15. So we dropped it down to that amount where really, I think we're is it up to 26,000?
26,000.
Yeah, because it wasn't being used, but I'm wondering if we're gonna keep doing these types of things, and we have people that aren't certified, if we should budget.
and you have new people, I mean, you have a lot of older people
Right.
who before, who were ready to retire, not really, already moved over as far as they're gonna go, not interested in taking a college class.
Right.
But now you have a whole nother new, fresh batch of people who, we might
I
consider,
think that,
yeah.
go back to what the CBA says. Okay. All right, anything else?
Page 40. About 2/3 of the way down, 2410, 5110, 004. The salaries for admin assistant, it looks like it's been,
Hit hard, huh?
yeah,
Yeah, it's because Veronica's pay was coming out of it. Her pay was misnumbered, and so I know it's in the process of getting it fixed.
okay,
Greg has to help us with that because her pay has ripple effects in other places. So
Yep.
we are working on that one.
Gotcha.
Good catch on that one, yeah.
41, anything else?
41/42, when we look at like the facilities, like health insurance and buyout, is there, I guess, is there multiple people, full-time people budgeted in facilities?
There are going to be two people that would be collected, right? So you'd have Jim and you'd have John.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I assume that looks.
Now, once again, one I think is a buyout, the other one I think has insurance, but I
Right.
don't remember which way.
Right, it looks like we
I don't think
budgeted
we
for
touched on that.
insurance, right, yeah. So, no, I was just, because we didn't, I just want to make sure there's more than one person. Because I saw that we didn't budget for buyout,
Right.
and there was like money coming from buyout but obviously if it's a,
Right, because we do have two
it's
full-time
not a
employees.
yeah,
Yep.
that's basically what I was just.
And what we normally do is we budget for the position, not necessarily the person, because if we have to change the person, so we usually budget for a two-person plan.
Yeah.
Because it's safer, you might have to go up a little bit, but,
Yep.
I have one back at the beginning, page 35. So the athletic supplies, so the top of the page now, 5610,000. It just looks like it's already overspent, and I don't know if that's something that's miscategorized or something more expensive than anticipated, but.
You're talking about supplies for counseling?
No,
Athletics.
athletics.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you say the line number again for me?
14,
I found
20,
it, 5610,
5610.
yeah, I got you. Don't know. That one, for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking is the thing that got charged the wrong year.
Yeah.
Because I remember we were talking to Lynn, trying to figure out like where the uniforms are supposed to go. And I think they got charged the wrong year. So that's one that I think we'll see changed. But let me just verify, and it's good to not get something like this slow, so. Yeah, we had a whole training just the other day on applying things to appropriate years. Unfortunately, at this point, Bruce has to do all the changes for us because once it's released, he has to do it. But that training will be supported when we get to next May in June to make sure we don't make the same mistakes next year. So,
what was that? The deodorant.
what's that?
Was that the POA?
No, Bruce, BMSI.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bruce would be a
Yeah, he gave us training on the system, because what was happening was they were putting POs in before June 30th, but when the bills were coming in, they were like, well, let's put the bill date in. So on the bill, they put the date of the bill. The problem is that then it doesn't link back to that PO, because that PO is before June 30th. So we actually were getting all sorts of wacky stuff. We had negative numbers, we had all sorts of crazy stuff going on. He straightened up a lot of it, but I know he wasn't done when I printed this. Because I even said to them, I said, well, I got to get this done because I got to get the packet, but over the next couple of days. And the training actually came the day after I sent the packet, so I knew there was still some loans.
So BMSI is helpful now, they're trying.
Bruce is working really hard with us. He's been very supportive with the payroll system. We had to go in and we really had to tweak a lot of stuff with that because we were relying on the way it used to be set up, but Bruce was like very clear with us, it's set up wrong. So we spent the better part of 5 or 6 days, just the 3 of us solidly working on it. Bruce helping, yes. Every time we needed help, like we'd send him emails or give him a call, and he was helping us. But yeah, we now believe payroll is 100% set up correctly in the system. So we think. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to run a couple and see if any glitches come up, but so far, so good. We ran the first one, we had one issue, and it was a very minor thing. We changed it, it's good to go. So I'm feeling good about it.
I'm glad that they're willing to come and help. Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Anybody else have anything? Good? Okay.
There'll be another one of these at the next meeting, just because this was getting caught up. So the next one, I try to have it for the first meeting of the month, not the last meeting.
I do like how it's set up. It's easy to read.
Also, we'll be transferring to 25 and 25 since the DOE 25 has been submitted. So these pages here, they're looking relatively consistent, but the next, probably not the next one, the one after that, you'll see an additional 25,000, because we're ready now to make those transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
What else? Let's see here. So that was financial
Because
report.
I know it's off topic, but since they are looking so good right now, like we talked about last week, that was one of the comments in the minutes that I wrote down.
Can you go back?
Well, no, it was just, we were talking about, there was a line that said, we don't have to decide where the money's coming from right now, we can wait until the end of the year. But the way it was worded, it wasn't clear what I meant. It's about, we can either take it from the operating budget or out of one of our capital reserve account, depending upon what the fund balance is at the end of the year. So thinking also about this trash rack, is it trash rack?
Yeah.
Trash rack, what was that, 10,000? 10,000
Yeah.
for the trash rack? So that's an example, like it's something that we really need right now, but
Yeah.
if we can absorb it with our budget, we'll know by the end of the year, what our capital reserve account is. And they haven't even added the extra 25 for each.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, adequacy changes. I don't know if anybody had the chance to watch the video or to really take a look at the handout, but really what it's come down to is that we have, I thought I wrote it down, I did. We have.
You
do
did
remember? Oh, I did.
85,314.
That's it.
That's the extra money, yeah.
Thank you. So we have the $85,314 of extra money because of their recalculation, the stuff that they've done at the state level. There's really 2 options available to you. I've given you the 2 options handout as well. Really, in a nutshell, you can choose to spend some, all, whatever portion of that you wish to spend, or you can do nothing. If you wish to spend it, though, it does require a special meeting of the town. So and that's, it's not impossible, it's just a little bit complicated, but you would still have to put that together. It's not as simple as when you have, what's that?
It's not a hearing, it's an
Yeah,
actual
it's
meeting.
an actual meeting. Like if you get money donated to you from, Joe Schmo,
Right.
you can do that right here in a meeting. You
Right.
can actually hold a public hearing before the meeting begins, and you can just, nobody has anything to say, or somebody does have something to say, and you can make that work right there. This requires a town meeting, like you do in March. And we would have to, advertise it, we'd have to figure out a date and time to do it on, et cetera, et cetera. And at that town meeting, they would have to approve whatever your idea was for what of that money you want to spend. So, like I said, you've got 2 options. One path is to spend some of that or all of that. and you need a town meeting to do it, or option two, you can do absolutely nothing, it'll just go back. They'll take less money away from the taxpayers.
And that's for the money that's coming back. It's going to offset the December and June tax rate for this year.
That's my understanding, since this year's tax rates,
Right.
yeah.
So what do people want to do?
When do we have to know by?
We need to do it fast because I think it impacts the DOE 25, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah, I see it right there.
It does.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But then we'd have to, oh, I remember, they said if you decide to spend the money, then you'll have to put in an adjustment to the DOE 25, because it's already submitted, like, you know, we don't have
I
time.
think we have to do it pretty quickly. I think you can't wait like 2 months. I think you'd have to say, okay, we're not gonna do this, we're done, or we are gonna do it, so we need to schedule a meeting like for next month or something.
It does say that if we decide to go this route, we really do need to seek legal counsel, so we want to reach out to Dean and get his input on all of this. There'll be legal fees associated with this, and there'll be the town meeting.
I am good with giving this money back to the taxpayers.
I mean, one useful thing, if we did decide we wanted to do something with it, would be the windows. I mean, that's just something that like we're always, but I don't know where we're at, if we've gotten like recent quotes at all for the window, like do we know what the actual expense
Do we
is?
even know?
We had it in the spring, remember I gave you guys a
I
whole
thought
breakdown.
I thought that we needed to get new quotes or something.
No,
Jessica, you
Well,
must
we,
know.
we
Those
actually,
were new
we
quotes.
walked around tonight and looked at them because we were trying to figure out kind of the strategy going forward, knowing that it's been on
How
our
much
plate for a
are
while.
windows?
Last I knew, we got a quote for 3 windows at like $21,000.
For 3, but we have 9 windows?
We have 13
Or
windows.
13.
We have 13 matching windows. It would, if we had the money, we'd want to do them all at the same time, but we do have some high priority windows because they leak and whatnot.
So are they, is it about $10,000 a window? Is that what we're saying?
That's what we were quoted at last time,
So
which
it's
was,
like 130,000.
which was more than double what we had been quoted at a year before.
Right.
But we did get you something more recently from a different vendor. It was when we were talking about the ESSER 3 grant. And I
Right.
put in there a number, and I don't remember that number, but I can get that for you again. So we did get a requote. It's just, it was tied to that ESSER conversation, which then we ended up going with curriculum, instruction, and behavior versus Windows.
Me and Jess had been talking about it at the facilities meeting, wanting to figure out what direction we want to go. I mean, what, does the board want to go with windows, and depending on how much they cost? I mean, we looked tonight, and it makes sense for those 13 windows, or whichever ones we replace, to match the windows that are on the 2011 edition.
Mhm.
They're roughly the same size and function. So we want to match to what's there, which is brown cladding, awning style
Right.
windows.
They're more of a commercial, almost like a storefront. Where the ones that we're looking at now are more residential.
And,
So they're not gonna be just $10,000 a piece, they're gonna be more money?
well,
No, the quote was
The
for
quote
that.
was for that
Oh,
style.
they
of window,
work for
yeah.
that? Okay.
we also have to consider closer towards the front end of the school on that side.
Mhm.
Those windows are gonna need replaced at some point. Those are the ones that are the really old style. They match what used to be on the front of the building, which was replaced 7 years ago or so. So that might be that's a bigger project, but that's gonna need to come up at some point.
Are there any grants out there?
Well, we were looking at ESSER 3, right, and then we moved away
Energy.
from it. So there's
There
not,
was, I feel like there was one that John put in for.
And
or-
we
Yeah.
We didn't
Yes,
get
we
it.
did.
Yeah.
The other thing we could do is do a warrant article for the windows.
Which we actually said that tonight.
You know,
Maybe we
I
should
think
just,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, because
That
this
way-
sounds like a little bit complicated.
we need to get them done, but there's a lot that need done. We might as well bring them to the town and let them decide.
And I think that's a good timing, because if they do approve them, we could immediately order them and have them done for the summer. Because you're not gonna have those done for the kitchen building.
No.
You know, so,
I think a warrant article is,
I think the warrant article is better too.
For this March.
For the windows, I think
Yes.
I think it's time. I don't think we're putting, like, in the past, we've done, like, we had the teacher's contract the last time. Then we had the roof.
Right.
We haven't added, we've been careful not to put too many warrant articles on at once. So since we don't have a teacher's contract this year, we hopefully don't have any other major issues.
And I feel like it's better to do it all at once and not do, okay,
I
we're gonna do
agree.
3 now, 3
Right.
later, like.
Well,
Well,
we,
100%, you're probably gonna
we
see-
talked about doing that, but we never actually did those 3 windows like
No,
several years
exactly.
in a row.
No,
So
exactly.
quick question, are we talking just the 13 that we were talking, or now are we talking the 13 plus these others that you're mentioning? Like,
So
what's this warrant article for?
I could see those 13 windows theoretically going up to around $130,000. And then if we added those 6 or 7 more windows, those are probably gonna, I would think those would almost be,
Is that the entire wall down here?
yes,
Yeah.
which when you get closer towards the garage and the dumpsters, they're really old.
They have those.
And does it go around the corner, or is it?
No, the whole front of the building is new within 6 or 7
So I'm gonna
years.
count the windows on this side down to where the 13 begins and add that
Yes.
number to the 13.
And I would think that to have them probably, well, no, they wouldn't need to match as aesthetically as the front because the front is the actual facade of the school. So maybe they wouldn't need to be as nice, but
And I do recall there was a quote from a different vendor, I just didn't remember the total, so I was gonna go
Yeah.
back and look at it as well.
We did have a quote for sure, and obviously, this is gonna be such a large amount, you're gonna wanna bid on this, right? You wanna-
Right.
oh, yeah.
Now, do you want that before the annual meeting? I would assume we do, right?
Oh, absolutely, because we
Okay.
can't have the warrant article without
So
coming
I'll have
up
to
with a
make sure.
number. And people will say, well, how do you know we're gonna say, well, we have bids for this, most reasonable one or the
But
one
you'll
that we're
have, you'll
choosing.
probably have to go out like in January or February, because you're not gonna be good for,
Right,
that's the problem with the.
I'm gonna have to tell them it's
Yeah,
gonna be
I'd say
contingent upon
Which-
approval by the
Don't know that for a
community,
fact.
But if
and
they
it's
do
an
it now,
excellent job.
Their price.
The-
Well, you
know,
usually
you
have
probably
to-
wanna go closer to when the meeting happens.
Right,
Because they're more relevant.
Well, right, because the other thing is, we say, part of the bidding process
Yeah.
is we want the pricing to be valid through a certain date.
Right.
Right, they're just gonna back it up.
They, yeah, the
Yeah.
price just goes way up because they don't know.
okay. Well, however, we're supposed to do it, we have to have a number for the warrant article, which is,
I was gonna say,
We have
warrant
to have
articles will be by the end of January.
yeah, by the end of
Right,
January,
so-
our budget hearing.
Right, so you just don't wanna do it now,
Right.
it would be.
Oh, yeah, not now, but we have to start maybe figuring out what we want, exactly.
If I get one response, would the board be willing to entertain one response, or are you going, because I'll put the RFP out there, we'll call different companies and say, hey, did you know we've got an RFP out
Yeah.
there? But we've had very poor response rates to our RFPs. Is that gonna work for you if only Portland Glass gets back to us, or only
We're
Granite
gonna
Glass
have
gets
to-
back
I
to
think we
us?
should do some invitational.
Oh, I
pitch
will,
to-
I will
yeah.
definitely invite all the companies that have done work for us in the past with glass. I'm just not sure, and
I
like you
don't
said,
see any reason why they wouldn't.
No, and I mean, if we were just honest, if that happened to be the case and we just told the town that if you vote no, in hopes that maybe a couple of years from now, we'd have a better response from contractors for a better price, as long as we're honest with the town.
I think that's a good idea, because, and I think what we would do is probably just, when we did our budget hearing, and then also during the meeting, we're gonna have photographs, inside and outside, close-ups of what we have, and then comparison to the new ones.
In the meantime, when me and Jessica looked, there's a lot of separated caulking around those windows, so that might be a good temporary stopgap. And we were almost even thinking that if they're leaking through the awning part, seal them up with some silicone for the winter, so that might help
Yeah, it's
stop the
almost like
weather.
the seals in the windows have kind of drag rotted over time, and that might be.
add it to the list, can we recaulk the windows?
Okay, so sounds like we're going to do the warrant article for the windows, we'll figure out how much that is, and then,
So give them this money back to them.
so we're going to, and that way, it's actually, it goes back, and then we'll let.
And you can even use that as part of your explanation to say, look, we gave you back the money. Our
Right.
hope is now that
Yep.
you'll see value in
Right.
this and give us that money back, but we didn't want to take it from you. We wanted to,
Your permission,
Yeah.
okay, your support, okay, okay, I think that sounds like a good compromise.
okay, what's next here? Let's see, that's adequacy. The dish machine, you have a slightly more important, better quote for you. So in the quotes that I provided in the packet, what I realized was two of the companies did not include a valve. And I didn't know what it was, but I was able to do some research and really get an understanding of this valve. So, hold on, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. North Shore. North Shore is the best price for the same exact machine. And it doesn't make sense to not go with the best price machine, at least for my recommendation, but I wanted to make sure that the valve was similar in price. It's actually more. So if you look, I'll just get you onto the page number here in a moment. So if you look at, who was the other company that gave us the valve? I think it was the third one. Alternative Sales. So Alternative Sales, page 62 and 63 of your packet. You'll notice that they have this DWT AM16 drain water tempering single valve with pump, blah, 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 for $885.88. North Shores has it at $1,360. So I did want you to see that. So my recommendation would be to go with North Shore, but I wanted to make sure you knew that difference in the valve price. The valve, he said, you do not need to buy through them. He said, your plumber can most likely, whoever your plumber's going to be to do the install, can most likely get their hands on it as well. And so this is the explanation I got. But this tempering valve is really important. So basically what happens is the water gets superheated going into the dish machine. If you put that superheated water into your drain system, it can actually cause real issues with your piping, with your septic system, etc. So this tempering valve cools the water back down to an acceptable temperature. I think it was 140, but I don't remember for sure.
Wouldn't we
And
want
he's,
the valve from the company so that we know that they can't say that our plumber put the wrong valve in?
Well,
it's called a DWT AM16. So once again, he said there are different tempering valves and they're for different machines. You can see the two different companies quoted us for the exact same valve name.
Okay.
Once again, I'm perfectly fine having the entire thing come from this company. That way it's all coming one package, the whole 9 yards. I just wanted to make sure you went in with your eyes open. The quote for the machine, definitely North Shore would be my recommendation. But when it comes to the valve, unfortunately, the valve is more expensive. So
Where's the valve? What's the difference in the price of the valve?
So the valve here is $1,360. The valve on this one is $885.
Okay, so why are they charging $500 more?
I don't know. Actually, I got an explanation, not from the North Shore guy, but from our Fresh Bakes. He said each of these companies, they have contracts with various providers. And he said, so North Shore is most likely able to get us the Hobart machine at a reduced price because they have some sort of contract that they get better rates for. And if I expand that explanation to the valve, my assumption would be is that Alternative Sales has a better supply set up with valves.
Where's their valve?
Their valve was $885.88.
So-
It's on page 62 of the packet. Upper right-hand corner, page 62. Somewhere. Keep going.
My packet is
Oh,
missing.
is it? Just keep flipping a couple. There you go. What number are you on? Here, I'll just give you mine. Page 62. Here's the cost of their valve. Same exact valve.
And their machine is
AM61.
a
Their
little,
machine,
is more money.
way more.
Okay, so
16 to 19.
one,
so forgive me,
Now, there's one other little thing I want to throw at you. Singer is a local company, and we have this prefer local purchases. So I did want to throw that at you, but I did not ask Singer to give me the quote for the valve. It just slipped my mind. But I just wanted to let you know Singer's located right in Bud. So I didn't know if that plays into this either. I just wanted to make sure you're thinking about it because we did talk about trying to buy local when we can.
did they give you a bid?
They did, yeah, there's their page for the machine, yes. They're a little bit more, that's why they're 17,824 versus 16,495. So they're between the two. But I did not ask, also actually their install was more expensive. The startup, not the install, the startup inspection was more expensive. So everything about them's a little bit more expensive than North Shore, with the potential exception of the valve. I don't have a valve cost for them.
Anybody have any?
Where is Singer located?
Singer's on page 58 and 59.
Oh, Bo, no, Bo, they're out of
Oh,
Bo.
yes, they're in both.
And,
Yep.
did we get quotes last time for the install, or have we not got that yet?
We don't have that yet, but it's gonna be our electrician and our
Oh,
plumber.
the ones we use
Yeah,
normally?
so just like the
Okay.
AC, when they're installing that, they came back and it was under $1,000 for
Yep.
the install for electrical.
Okay.
But that startup thing that you're seeing on each of these quotes, for the North Shore, it's $395. That is after it gets installed, right? The electrical's done, the plumbing's done, everything's ready to go. They send in this rep from Hobart who ensures that everything operates proper and provides training to the staff.
That's North Shore?
All of them. But the North Shore's was $395 versus Singer's, which was $425. So even that was
That-
a difference in price.
That one's negligible. I guess we have to compare to people want to save money or support local.
What's the difference in their machines between Singer and North Shore?
I'll give you an exact number in a moment.
Roughly 1,400.
It's $1,329.40. Add to that another $30 for that performance thing, so plus 30. So it's a difference of $1,359.40, and that's without including the valve, because I don't have that to compare for you.
I don't know. I don't know anything about these companies, so it's hard to.
I drive by Singer every week on my way to dropping my daughter off at her gymnastics class, so I see it, but I don't know the company, so.
What people want to do. I do say one thing, I think that we should get the valve from the vendor who sells the dishwasher.
Well,
Yeah, that, yes.
Well,
I agree.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't
Do it separate.
necessarily matter. No matter where you get it from, it's gonna be the exact same thing, and our plumber's gonna have to install it by the sounds of it. It's not gonna come installed on the machine.
They do not install it, no.
I just don't want them to say our plumber did something
Right.
wrong, and then they're gonna void some of the.
Well, no, I mean, they could.
Yeah.
Well, once again, the hope would be they're charging us $395 for somebody from Hobart to come out and say it works properly.
Right, they're gonna.
That's
but
also
that's
on the
the thing.
outlet.
They're, right, they're gonna
Trade
say that the
side, so-
machine's working. This valve has nothing to do with the actual operation of the machine. It has to do with
Right.
what
Does towards
what the
something.
code says and what local code could potentially enforce. And it has to do with protecting our downstream piping plumbing system. So they do not care about this valve.
Okay. Who would be responsible if they put the valve in and something's wrong with their plumber?
Yes.
Okay.
No matter where we buy the valve from.
So for septic, it's distributed.
So we could buy the machine and get that install check and not purchase the valve and have, like, I could potentially go back to, who's the other one, whatever it's called, and just say, can I buy the valve from you and pay $800 something for it?
I don't know.
Alternative sales.
We need
Or
to
our
make a
plumber.
decision. I just don't.
So
Yeah, or the-
did
or
we
the-
already approve North Shore?
No,
Oh,
in the last meeting, all I had was a Singer quote. Oh, I didn't tell you this part, I apologize. I then found out after I left the meeting last time that we need to go through the state. So you're trying to use the $40,000 of food service
oh,
money.
okay.
Any purchase for equipment that's over $5,000 in price has to be approved by the state of New Hampshire. The state of New Hampshire needs to see 3 different vendors, and I actually do need to get them to send me all of these vendors. I need to get to send me new quotes because it can't say Cafe Services. It's got to say Strafford School District. So I do need to get all these resent to me, but that's not, it shouldn't change the value at all. It's just going to be they're giving it to me versus Cafe Services. And then the state has to approve it. They don't care which vendor we go with. They want to make sure that the sale or the purchase of the item makes sense. In other words, they're going to be looking, I have to fill out an application. They're going to be looking to say, is the machine old? Is it broken? You know, why are we buying this at this time? Why do we think using these funds are the, like, I have to fill out all this paperwork from the state. They will then approve, most likely, the purchase of it, and then we would have this all ready to go.
Has Fresh Picks worked with any of these companies as far as customer service and coming coming back to repair things.
And didn't ask that question.
See, I'm wondering if.
The first one they sent us was Singer, though. I would say that
Freshman
was for a
something
reason.
like
They only sent us Singer, what for you folks to look at. Remember, they sent us 2 machines. Both of those were quoted from Singer. You chose the Hobart over the Champion in the last meeting. It wasn't then that I found out, oh, wait a minute, there's this whole other process that we have to do.
I'm good with Singer. This is not tax money. It's a local company. It's roughly $1,300 more expensive, but it's a New Hampshire company keeping the money in state. And this is from a food service surplus. This is not budgeted money from the taxpayers.
that.
I also wonder if we would get better service from somebody being in Bow compared to Peabody.
You would think that they're so close to us
Right.
and that they would want to continue that
Right,
relationship.
right.
I agree. The other one's in Kingston, there's that in Manchester. Is that? Is this that?
Oh, North Shore is in Mass.
No, is this?
Oh, Alternative Sales is in Kingston, New Hampshire, yeah.
Oh,
They're considerably more expensive though.
Okay. All right. If anybody wants to make a motion.
So
Do you have to since you're sticking with Singer? That's the one you already approved last month.
I don't think so.
Oh, we already, this is.
I
They
wouldn't
already
think so.
approved it?
Okay.
You approved it last month.
And the price is the same?
The Singer quote is the
Is
exact, I
the
didn't even
same.
get an
Then
email.
I don't think we need to make a motion.
Yeah.
We just explained what we
Yeah.
were staying with them.
Yeah, so and I think for the valve, I think it would be good to ask our plumber about it.
Right.
First off, make sure the plumber is familiar with installing them.
Right, right.
And if he has like a supplier that he can get them from. If not, then because like when I just did a quick Google search, it seems to be a common like restaurant supply type item. I would assume that plumbing houses may have them, but maybe they don't if they don't sell commercial.
Does Singer have a recommended installer or plumber that installs these regularly? Because I would think that it's not a normal thing that people are installing.
Right, it would be like more of a right.
So I don't know if our local people.
I would want it to be someone who's familiar with
Right.
doing that.
I don't know, if that's, we'll see what happens, but we're approving the.
I'll start by talking to our own
Yeah.
plumber and saying, are you familiar and comfortable with the install, like, have you installed professional kitchen dishwashers before?
Yeah.
Every restaurant has a dishwasher
Right.
Yeah.
machine. It's probably fairly common, I would think.
Okay.
So let me look into that, but if the answer is no, then I agree, I say, let's check with Singer and see if they've got somebody they could recommend for the install.
All right, sounds good.
Singer is.
10 after 8. Is that door open? Good. I just wanted to make sure that people will be able to know what, you know.
Oh, we didn't like officially say that like
At
the comments
7.
were open, but
Well, we were opening them at 7:30.
Yeah.
And now we'll open them again toward the end.
if someone showed up. I didn't know if we had to like
That's right.
make
If,
that official announcement.
if someone shows up and wants to say something, they
You'll
can.
let them do that.
All right.
Where is my agenda?
The next item on the list is looking at the nominations. We have a paraprofessional who's already a part-time para that works here, has already been approved by the board, looking to expand to full-time at this point due to some changes in the family situation. She's able to expand her hours. She's very much appreciated here, and my recommendation is a strong yes, we should move her to full-time. The second nomination, I don't know if you're going to take them together or separate, I just wanted to make sure I set them both, is a custodian who wishes to come work for us part-time in the evening. She's also a known entity, but because she doesn't work for us, I decided to put the entire packet together for you. Even though some of you might be like, oh, I know this person really well, I felt that it was important for you to have the entire packet, so you have that in there. Any questions?
No, I'm just, you know what, because my packet, you were so nice that you
Okay, that.
printed them
next
for me.
couple
It's
pages.
not, my papers aren't everywhere. All right, so we have the motions. We need one for Adriana and is it Claire?
Claire, right.
So would you like to make them together or separate?
They're two different positions. They're two different jobs. I'll make them separately.
There we go.
So I move that we accept the nomination for the reclassification of Adriana Hurd from part-time paraprofessional to full-time paraprofessional at a rate of $16.42 per hour from the 1,200 special education budget line. Benefits per the CBA.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I was second.
Discussion? So she can start immediately, right?
She's already working for us, so she'll just, we'd expand her hours if she wants to, effective tomorrow.
Anything else? No? Okay, Eric,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Jess, and Debbie, yes. Okay, so how about Claire? That's great to fill that part-time custodian position at night.
So I move we accept the nomination for Claire Murdo, part-time evening custodian, at a rate of $16 per hour from the budget line 2620-5110-001, which is our custodian line. That's 20 to 30 hours per week, up to 260 days a year, as outlined in the nomination form.
Okay, do we have a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, discussion? So is Claire starting in October? I can't read that.
Looks like
date.
October 2nd.
October 2nd? Okay. All right, any other discussion?
Does that fill the part-time position?
We will be fully staffed.
Okay,
Finally,
Wow.
at long last.
Yes,
it's been a long road.
It's been a long road.
all right, Eric,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Jess, and Debbie, yes.
You can keep it for a couple more pages because I know the next section too. So facilities use, we have 3 facility uses that have come through. Rec youth basketball, basketball clinic, and an adult indoor soccer. We did communicate last month about trying to get them to us more in advance of the events. I think all 3 of these are, so I think we're okay here, but that was received and acknowledged, so I think moving forward, we should be okay. Getting those early.
Okay, so they're all,
It's the rec.
they're all the rec, so it is a non-profit organization, community activities. Would someone like to make a motion to accept those and waive the fee?
Yep, so I move we accept the facility use request from the Strafford Recreational Sports for adult indoor soccer, basketball clinic, and the youth basketball program as presented on the facility use forms. And that would be to waive the fees associated with these requests as they are a nonprofit community service organization.
Great, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, Eric,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Katrina, Jess, and Debbie, yes. Okay.
I think for the next one, I'm still good to go here. So next is retirement requests. We have the retirement requests that were mentioned earlier. So Janet Homiak and Tracy Hansen, looking to retire at the end of this school year, so in June of '24. And then I have 2 more. Want me to hand them out now, or do you want to take them separately?
Let's do these 2
Okay,
first,
you got it.
because we're gonna have a discussion about the position. Where's Eric?
Turning the lights back on.
Send
They're motion
Are they
sensors.
motion sensors?
They are.
Yeah. They keep, we're gonna be in the
Hey,
dark.
I'm off camera too, I don't think the camera's pointing at me, so it's not as bad.
Okay, so would we like to make a motion to accept the 2?
Yes, so
Retirements?
Retirements, yeah. the re-
Okay, thank you.
as one,
Yes.
so I'm trying to reword it here. I move that we accept the retirement with great thanks for their service at Strafford School for Janet Homiak and Tracy Hansen at the end of the 23-24 school year.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Discussion? Our hopes are that both Janet and Tracy will be able to be with us next year, part-time positions, and that we'll have more discussion about that later. Okay? Alrighty, we thank them both so much. They're both wonderful educators. Eric,
Yes,
Liz,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Jess, Debbie, yes.
We also received, since the board packet went out, 2 more retirement requests, not for June of '24, but June of '25. They made it before the October 1st deadline, so there's not a time constraint concern here, just a matter of acceptance. So the first one is from Robin Prasco, our PE teacher, and the second one is from Cynthia Duffy, who's a paraprofessional, and you have the request in front of you.
Oh, wow. Oh. Combined 68 years. My goodness. Okay, how would you like to do this? One motion, two motions?
I think I could do this both on the same.
Okay.
So I move that we accept the retirement, also with great thanks for their combined service to this school district of 68 years of Robin Prasco and Cynthia Duffy at the end of the 25 school year.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Just, these are, again, two wonderful people who have worked with us, one for 38 years and one for 30 years. They'll be with us until the end of the 24-25 school year, but again, hard to replace. Okay. All right, Eric,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Katrina,
Yes.
Jess, and Debbie. Good. Okay.
Okay, so the DOE 25 is submitted to the state, came back with a couple of errors, was corrected and resubmitted, came back with another error that they had missed the first time, has been fixed and resubmitted. So it is in their hands. Our hope is where they came back the second time just saying, oops, here's one more thing. The hope is that now we're going to be okay. Like, it should be evaluated. We should hear very soon that this has been approved. As soon as that's done, then of course it'll be the MS-25 going to the DRA. They almost always are fine if the DOE is approved because the DOE kind of works out all the kinks. There might still be something going. If there is, it's a same day process. Like Greg and I are messing around. We get these things, slight tweaks. I have to do the final submission, so I do that. So we're bang, getting this stuff done. So this is what, end of September, I don't know the date, 27th of September. Last year, they were submitted on December 22nd. So we have clearly far exceeded the timeline for last year. The DRA has not even started setting tax rates yet. So we are really, I think, ahead of the curve on this one. And I think we're going to be really good for this year. The town did ask if we had submitted another form. I worked with Greg on that, and that's been submitted as well. It's just another form that helps with the process. It's required for the process, but it also helps with it. And so that's been submitted and is already done as well. So I think as soon as the DOE comes back and says yes, and the DRA comes back and says yes, within hopefully the next few days to a week or so is my hope on that timeline. By the next meeting, I'll be bringing you guys the signature page and we'll get that taken care of.
So, but now you have to update the DOE with the $185,000, right?
The $85,000, and I don't think we do if we don't use it, but I'll check with Greg on that.
Yes.
I know when I talked to
I
Greg,
think it impacts, I think
That's a good idea.
right?
if we do, then it'll be a revision, not the current. In other words, the current document will be done, and then we have to do a revision. So, but I will.
For some reason,
That's mine. Oh, sure.
I-
I didn't do it myself.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right, there we go. The ongoing task list is there.
So ongoing task list, last month you guys wanted to go through it. If you want to, it's there, let me know.
Do we have any questions on the
Um,
ongoing task list?
I want to ask something because I don't know that it happened yet, and I can't remember in which capacity it was asked, but the conservation information about the dam and the many acres of land that's in conservation property. I'd like to see our agreement, whatever is in that agreement, to have information.
We We must
It was in facilities committee and I forgot, I apologize.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've got it now on this list, this list gets a lot of attention. So conservation
Yeah.
commission, agreements, I will get on that tomorrow. My hope is that it's an easy thing to get my hands on.
I'm hoping it's just like a little file like this that they can give you a copy of.
As soon as I have it, I'll scan it and I'll send you a copy, and then I
Thank you.
can also put it in your kid's backpack type of thing. Get it in physical copy too, so.
Thank you.
This is crazy. Okay, good. All right, enrollment report.
Yeah, so last year we were giving you an enrollment report, which is basically what the top half of this document is for the most part. And then feedback was given, can you do the class by class? So we went ahead and added that. I found lots of weird kind of structural things with it, like it was half on this page, half on it. So anyway, long story short, it's now a nice, neat, one-page summary, page 78. If you want to see here, I can hand it back to you. So it should now have all the criteria that you've asked for in the past in a nice, neat format, and it's an automatic feature, so all the things have formulas. So all she has to do is fill in this one row of information, and everything else will be calculated across and everything else. So it's very easy to use spreadsheet. The one thing I did add was high school students budgeted versus the high school current, because that is a place where we can lose money quickly, right? So I wanted to make sure you had that as well as like, how much do we budget for high school versus how many kids are actually there? Right now, we're good, but you can tell we're right on the cusp. I don't imagine, usually you don't go up in enrollment at the high school level, usually you see yourself going down. And I am aware of a student that just recently withdrew that isn't represented on this. So my assumption will be is that we're going to see ourselves getting yet another space there, if you will. So I think we're okay. I was worried at first because we had so many kids going into Dover. We had a couple of homeschool students that went into Dover High School, and I was worried that that was going to bump the enrollment up too high, but the collective number is still in a good place, so it should be good.
So Strafford, without the preschool, we're down to 317 children.
Pretty sure I can
It's a
control it.
trend.
And then the high school down 25 kids.
Yeah.
Now, that's from last May.
It's a definite trend.
So it's sometimes hard to compare across years, is it exactly right? But this next month, when you get the next one, it will be September to October, so you'll be able to really compare.
We have
that big class.
We
We
With that
we
big-
sent this, we sent the small class to Cole Brown, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Graduated a big one.
So it would be, I'm sorry, I meant to say August to September versus May to August. That was, like I said, it's kind of weird going across years like that. This is always the odd one.
Yeah, we have actually right now 2 small classes for 7th and 8th grade, even 6th grade. The bubble looks like it's 3rd and 4th.
This is
For
very
our larger
consistent,
classes.
but I would still these classes.
How
Um,
come,
Rob,
Here's your agenda.
the
It was underneath my notebook.
the grade 8 totals, like, it's just a little wonky, so it's not that it matters, but maybe just like when you do, I don't know if it automatically calculates it, but I think it went, I think it goes May to August, I think it went 30 to 32, not 34, like, it added 2, but it's saying we lost 2, I don't, it's, if it automatically calculates it, you might just wanna check the Excel sheet, that's all.
oh, I see
No,
what
it's,
you're saying.
it's,
It's different, they're different children in
They're
8th
different
grade.
kids.
Yeah,
So we
They're
would have,
different
we would
kids
have
from
put
May
the
to
grade
August.
levels in different places.
because we're comparing it to May rather than.
Yeah.
Next,
This
next
next
month,
one,
yeah.
you're gonna be
Next
getting it in
month
2
will be-
weeks.
next
No.
month.
Yeah,
It
no,
took
it's
me
like-
a minute. and
Yeah, it's, I'm just saying that it says that the change is a +1 and a +1, but then the total's -2, that's all, so, but
Because
it's,
different groups.
Once again, seriously, it'll be
Yeah.
much neater and much cleaner when we get to the next one. What you really, I wanted you to see was where we're currently at with August.
Yeah.
There's what we had enrolled. Now, since then, we've had more kids enroll in the elementary, so I think those numbers will have gone up a couple of students.
Yeah.
Because we did have a couple of people come in lately.
Yeah.
I've had a couple going to homeschool too, so I don't know what the
Mhm.
net's gonna be, but,
Right.
all right.
Okay, there you go, thank you. All right, so now we have to agenda item. All right, so now we have the fun and fitness overview. I think we all have that form.
Yeah, I gave that out to you a little bit earlier.
So okay, I'm just gonna give a little feedback and then you can go through it. We had, our principal asked to have stipends for the fun and fitness class, but she was changing the activities that they were doing, which would make it actually not follow what the fun and fitness class was created for, which was actually a physical education, outdoor physical education class. So now we're finding we have a new program, they've renamed it Outdoor Classroom Free Play, which would be held on Wednesdays, starting, did it already start? What's it started? 9:13?
Yes.
To 11:15?
It was approved in the last board meeting.
Right, it was, but they're changing it, they're asking, again, to have a stipend through the REAP grant, but it wouldn't be fun and fitness, it would be for outdoor classroom free play. So it's for children, first grade through fifth grade, 15 children total, they would be chosen through a lottery. Oh, 5 counselors in training from the middle school. They're gonna have kids there working there. Nature play, nature club, nature time. So it's a free exploration in the outdoor classroom. Okay, so I think that we should, I think we should make a new motion to change our acceptance from fun and fitness, which is stipend, and it's in the CBA. There is money in the REAP grant to fund this, so they would still get the same stipends, but it's for outdoor classroom free play. So it's clean and, see what I'm saying?
Okay,
So, want to note in your motion that you're changing this motion that you're making has to do with, what would be the word?
recognizing that it's a different program.
It's a different program, but the stipend would be the same.
Mhm.
The source, the REAP grant would be the same. Same 2 people will be receiving the stipend, but it's not fun and fitness.
So with that being said, should I also mention the same people and the same amounts that we approved last time?
Yes,
Because
do you
I
have that
don't know
information right
those.
there? Do you have
Oh.
that information?
You could just say they're changing the program approved last month
Okay,
from
okay,
one to the other.
yep.
Everything else remains the same.
All right, so I move we approve the change of the 913 motion of fun and fitness to now be classified as outdoor classroom free play, as it is recognizing that it's a different program, as presented in the paper here tonight, and noting that it is the same teachers and the same stipend as was discussed at the last board meeting.
Okay. Do we have a second? I'll second. Discussion? So the fun and fitness stipend is still available. That is a CBA, that stipend is listed in the CBA. Apparently, there wasn't anyone interested in running that program right now. However, if someone wants to do it in the winter or in the spring, they could. But the outdoor classroom sounds like a fun activity. It's good for kids to be outside, getting fresh air, being creative.
Yeah,
It sounds like a good program.
I am curious at some point to hear what's being taught and what they're learning is right in full free play.
Alrighty. All set? Okay, Eric
Yes,
and Liz
Yes.
and Katrina?
Yes.
Jess? Yes. And Debbie, yes. Alright. I think that we should scan this and put it in the minutes so that we have a record of what that program's about. Alright.
Play, there's another resource done on play. We don't do it on play.
okay.
Right.
But, Eric, just the play, there's been a lot of research done on play, done in our society, that we don't let our children play enough.
Right.
And a lot of social skills are learned through play, and there's a lot of important, what do I want to say, important things that our kids learn through
Right.
play.
Right.
So
Right,
that's-
my previous comment,
That's why-
I recognize the value of what Liz is
That's what I
saying.
was just
Yes.
saying.
Yeah, play is good, and outdoor play is even
Yes.
better.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Now we have correspondence. I think we had an email about the
Remember, we had a
elections.
person asking about whether
Yeah.
the building was gonna be used
Oh,
during the election,
Keisha
and you had me respond.
Yes,
right?
okay, yes, Keisha was concerned that, she didn't know
No
that
kids
we
here.
had said that it was not gonna be a school day. That it was going to be a parent-teacher conference day, so the children wouldn't be in the building. I mean, we might have a few, but it's not gonna be a school day. She was concerned about having the building open to the public when children were in class, so we cleared that up. That was it. Okay, community calendar.
We're starting, we just submitted last week, a couple weeks ago, but we just noted that we're gonna let the town know the money's coming back to them and that we got our DOE in on time.
Great. Woo-hoo. Well, did you write that? Did you already set the?
No, this is,
Stop saying
we're getting ready for the next
it.
one.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for the next
We
one.
believe you. We don't want to put it in there, don't have to.
I would leave the on-time part off of your comment, just because the DOE 25 is a weird beast.
Yeah.
We're on time for the waiver, the extension that we asked for,
Just that
which
We
almost everybody asked
Yeah.
for,
the DOE 20.
before tax rates are being
Completed.
set. Yeah, we definitely have it
So
in.
there should not
September.
have, there should not be any delay.
No delay.
Yeah,
in the
two
tax
years,
return.
2 years in a row, people have noticed that it was coming after
Right.
Christmas.
Right, right. Okay. All righty, so committee updates, policy committee?
We have to schedule a policy committee meeting. I'm gonna work with Keisha,
Katrina.
Katrina.
I did it.
Sure it's not Jess.
It wasn't me.
Could be
Uh,
Contagious, contagious.
Yeah, so we'll get that.
So we can, I can either do before board meetings, or I did the note I sent you back, I can do Friday sometimes, it's just scarce, it's like, so busy.
Okay, we'll
So
try
it
to-
depends on how quickly we wanna meet.
okay.
Aren't you going to also work on, you were gonna do another pass on suicide?
Yeah, no, that's another, he had sent me an email, but I haven't received that email, so we gotta,
Okay.
Yeah.
My
And-
only feedback would be is that we have, we had to put in plans for how we were going to accommodate the state's findings on our grant findings that we had last year, and they're called CAPS and corrective action plans. Those are all due at the end of November. So I'm just saying, it's not that we have to rush, but we're getting closer, and it might be worth, if we can, expediting it to the board for a first, and then, the next meeting, a second type of
Yep.
situation. Just so we have them by the end of November.
Yeah.
We got several more meetings left, I just worry about the time.
Okay, all right, facilities committee, that popcorn machine and mixer.
I didn't have time to deal with the mixer, but the popcorn machine, actually, I'll let you guys give the update on the popcorn.
The popcorn machine, I think we just wanted to formalize it with a motion as the whole board, the direction. Do we want to dispose of it? If so, memorialize that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, because like Robert said, it might have food remnants in it that have been in there for a long time.
It's not like somebody wants it.
And drop-ins.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
we
it's in
were
there.
curious if the PTO actually.
Yeah,
owned it.
but then we decided as a facilities committee, that might be risky, considering that we know there's been rodents in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We know that the food's been sitting there forever, that the
Yeah.
oils are rancid. The worry was we give it to somebody, they don't clean it properly, and
Okay,
somehow we poison somebody.
And
yes,
then we get some,
okay.
I'm all for disposing it, as long as the PTO doesn't own it and decides they want it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Do you want to make a motion?
so I move we dispose of the old dirty popcorn machine, barring somebody else owns it and wants it.
Okay, have a second?
I will second.
Discussion? So you mean if somebody finds out about this, that it's available and they would buy, it's buying at your own risk. understand?
No, no,
He's saying, what if the PTO actually owns it and the school doesn't?
Oh,
and we're throwing, I don't wanna throw it away if the PTO owns it.
Okay, oh, I thought you meant if
No.
somebody else wanted it.
If just give them a heads up that if they own it, they can, that we're gonna throw it away unless they really want it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, anybody else? No. All right, Trina,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes,
Jess, Liz,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. Okay.
The next, I just haven't had time. They asked me to give some calls and I haven't had time. I'll get to it.
There's enough in the pantry.
Yeah, and I would love to have a picture. I'd love to see it.
Thanks. You take a picture. I'll write that down. Take a
Well,
picture.
it's a big,
Silver.
it's a big industrial one.
I understand that, and that's why I think it could be done.
Oh,
I remember making cornbread in it, actually.
I think, maybe
I
a
think that,
restaurant,
I think they're, I was looking, they're like
no, they're expensive.
$5,000 or $6,000. That's what I could say.
I don't
I don't think those
sell
are,
that.
yeah. I need to, but whatever. All right, job description, oh, did you update that?
It's in the packet. It's the last 79, 80, and 81. You didn't mind? Got it? No, it's not stable, but
It's not stable.
It's not a stable.
They're
Watch
they're
this.
everywhere. Okay. All right, did we see all the, I noticed, I see the custodial tasks is needed. Do you have your weight? Yep, 10 to 50 pounds. Did we see all the changes that we suggested?
every change that was suggested is definitely.
Okay. All right, so do you want to make a motion to accept this facilities manager job description
Yep,
as presented?
so I move, we accept the facility manager job description as presented.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
Discussion? Okay. Katrina,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes,
Jess,
Yes.
Liz, and
Yes.
Debbie, yes. All right,
And then just, it's not on there, but we're working on the charter.
Yep.
Eric and I were working on that to kind of provide some clarity. We started one, but it was
Good.
a whole bunch of people from the community years ago and
Right.
changed that.
Right.
and
And then the windows we already brought up.
yeah, we talked about the windows and getting ready for the windows tonight. I walked behind the annex and our backboards that came out of the gym are still back there.
good,
So I,
so thankful.
hopefully they can maybe be covered up or put indoors, because there's some 30 bags of concrete back there that were bought a couple years ago.
Outside?
And yeah, so now we
Usually
got
don't.
2,400 pounds of rock to dispose of.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And I just wonder, maybe the facility committee could think of this, if you're outside, is there a place that they could be mounted? Like, is there another area
Well,
to put basketball?
those are glass backboards. Outside, you typically see fiberglass, and so I don't know how that would
It's
go.
actually glass?
Yeah, some kind of safety glass that,
Really?
yeah, just like what's in there now. Or it might be a clear Lexan or something, I don't know, but,
Yeah, so I mean, the worst thing you can do is leave them forever. So I think if we can start to think of what a long-term plan would be.
Right.
is, yes, can I cover them with a tarp? Sure. By spring, they'll still be there covered in the tarp, you know what I mean? Like 10 years
Yeah.
from now, they'll still be there covered. So let's try not to lose sight of these. I'll try and make sure I bring them back around from time to time, but I don't personally know where we need some.
We're
yeah,
used
this,
to,
this used to be the gym.
I know that, that's what I'm just wondering if, just as a backup, we also have, we have all these rec teams and everything else, when they're trying to come up with practices, like you have the little kids that are, whatever.
I think over the years, I don't know that, this used to be able to be broken down to be used as another basketball court, but I don't think that could happen anymore. There's coolers and.
So, what else could we do? We can't leave them outside? You say that they're actually glass?
They might be.
If they're plexiglass, can they mount it outside?
We have a basketball court outside. I mean, maybe they could go somewhere else, but I don't know.
are they resistant to the weather?
Yeah,
They're indoor basketball
Right.
things.
I guess we can just put it.
Do you want me to see if the hussy person can give me an opinion on whether they can be used indoors or outdoors?
And then if not, we can put it in the next calendar to see if there's somebody that wants them, like,
Bring them to the library.
well, I mean, I don't know, there may be a church that has a
I
gym, that maybe
Yeah.
they have activities.
Was it just the backboards or the hoops out there?
So one hoop was out there. I didn't see the other hoop. It might have been somewhere out there, but I think those are pretty, the backboards are the big item, you know.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, maybe somebody wants to put it in their barn.
Yeah, and we might even have room in that garage, the sugar shack.
Well, I mean, people actually put basketball hoops in their barn,
Oh,
to play
right.
basketball in the winter.
Yeah.
I have friends that have done that.
We already have 2 in the trailer shack, I really want to have 2 more.
Do we have 4 in there?
We have the ones that used to hang low for the rec. They're owned by the rec, but they're still in our sugar shack.
So we actually.
So we have 4 unused basketball hoops at this point hanging around. So that's why I'm just worried about like
No, we can't. We
keeping
gotta
stuff
get-
forever.
Yeah,
we can't keep
Put 'em
ordering
everywhere.
stuff.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, love that.
Okay,
Basketballs everywhere.
all right, so food service committee, we did have. iPad, we have a little bit of an update as far as the things that we asked for. We asked. We asked for the homemade meals and a list of them. They have not given us the ingredients yet, which we asked for, but they did give us a list of some of the homemade meals, 3 made from scratch meals. So for October, they're going to have week 1 sweet and sour chicken with noodles, broccoli, apple salad, stuffed loaded potato with fruit salad, shepherd's pie. Week 2, chicken quesadillas, homemade mac and cheese, and they're not using the processed cheese sauce. Chicken pot pie with biscuit and mashed potatoes. Week 3, baked chicken parmesan roll, American chop suey, mashed potato, barbecue chicken, baby carrots. Week 4, carnitas, burrito bowl, chicken broccoli alfredo, homemade French toast with home fried potatoes. What is she using with the French toast? And
Yeah,
then
hopefully if we get ingredients,
Yeah,
this will
we'll
help
get
answer some of our questions.
week 5, teriyaki chicken with fried rice and roasted broccoli with garlic. I don't follow the menu regularly. Are those new items?
There's a lot of items that I feel like are
Or new?
newer revamped compared to what I've seen.
And French toast done right? I mean, if you take French toast and you do it real
Roasted
way.
bagels.
No, I get
Yeah.
it. We've already said we want real maple
Right.
syrup, which they said they've accomplished. So
Right.
I'm saying that might not be too bad.
Right.
I mean, it's still going to be more sugar
Homemade-
than bread.
Homemade fried potatoes.
Still, it's.
So anyway, that's that. They
You see the
also,
very top part on the breakfast piece?
yeah, okay, so,
She said they're going to be more breakfast bites and.
okay, additional smoothies and egg bites have been added to breakfast. And Rob, you want me to share the information you received?
If you want to.
The lunch boxes that remember Danielle said they stopped making the lunch boxes, they're gonna do that now. The organic milk is really pretty expensive, and here's the breakdown.
It's like an extra $1.
$1.29 versus 27 cents.
For 8 ounces,
Wow.
it's 29 cents for,
I think it's 27 cents.
27
27 cents right now.
okay,
And
and
it'll
then
be $1.29 if I remember correctly. So $1.02
it's
more.
basically $1.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's just-
So it came out to, based on last year's milk usage, it came out to like $40,000 more per year.
So, I don't know what to do about that. Let's see, what else do we have?
It's not be subsidized as much because it's about twice as much to buy it.
Oh, they did,
There's
Kind
fewer
of
vendors, there's fewer vendors to compete with as well, so.
you know, I wonder if Stonyfield does anything for schools. I know that at one point, when the wellness committee years ago, when we were active, Stonyfield, I contacted them and they were going to give us yogurt, Stonyfield organic yogurt at, like, it was almost below cost to match like the yogurt, the rabbit, whatever that is. Tricks, it's not organic. And because it was a school and they're a local company and it was going to be organic Stonyfield yogurt. So I don't know if they would, because we're local if they do anything better about it. That's all I have there. They're out, they're moving toward the healthier peanut butter. Oh, they did improve the pizza. Did you see the pizza pictures?
Yes.
Did that look better to you? Okay, good.
So is there any option for a board member to just come in and grab a lunch one day if we weren't at work, just to try it? I don't know how that would work. I mean, I wanted to try it.
I've always told my kids that I wanted to come in and have lunch with them, but I haven't actually done that
I
yet.
don't know why people can't come in to have lunch with their children. They used to be able to.
Are they not
And
allowed?
I've
I'm
never
not
been
sure there's a
told.
rule against it,
I've never
just-
asked and told no.
Yeah.
but just also be aware that means everybody can ask to do that, so it just really becomes one of those, you gotta be careful if you're opening Pandora's box.
I know
Is
that
it very,
people did used to come in up until about 2 years ago. Maybe it was COVID again. Everything changed with COVID. Parents would come in and have lunch. In fact, I surprised one of my kids because I went.
it's,
We always got parents who kind of drop in and.
yeah, I don't know why, but it's very common. I lived in the South for a long time, and the Southern parents that I'm friends with, it's a very common practice that they go and have like lunch with their child during lunchtime. It doesn't seem to be as.
It used to be.
Oh,
We
is
used
it?
to
Yeah.
do this.
I will
We
look into
used
it,
to
I'll
do
get back
this
to you.
here.
I know
And
that.
it was an open door policy.
So that's,
and-
it
and I
would be
think
curious,
everything
like if there's some sort of policy or procedure, letting, what is it if a parent says, hey, I want to come have lunch, how is that perceived?
For like last year, I was here all day during the book fair, and I felt like it would have been awkward if I had come in to grab a lunch, so I just,
Well, you're not in their lunch system either, so that's the other part of it, right? Like, how do they record that money?
They pay, you pay.
No, but everybody's in the lunch system, so that's the other part. So when you come in and you pay, so that's one of the things I need to check on is like, how easy is it to either add something? Because in the food service industry with the state, we have to report everybody that's not, the money that we earn that's not part of the food service program, like this, the federal program. And so they definitely have to have you recorded in the system because your meal would then be counted as one of those. It's not part of that program, so that's where I just don't know.
Yeah,
But if you have kids here, Kate, you get,
Well, they're already getting a lunch.
but.
You use their- you
You
use
cannot
their
use their account because that will look like a student is eating a meal and that
We
can't.
school gets us.
Now, once again, let me check on all this. My initial thought is, no, you can't. But then again, if a kid comes up and wants a second lunch, they're
They pay
allowed to,
cash.
and that is not counted in the food service, like that's a
What-
non.
How are
Subs.
employee, like, how are teachers?
They're in the system.
Yeah, you know what, I don't know
I would
what's
think
going
they're
on, but I can tell you, up until before COVID, people came in here all the time and had lunch. In fact,
But you were
even,
using the system, I
but
can tell you
even
that.
if you,
No.
like, I think when
The system's new.
we had you
Right.
come in, or we interviewed other people.
Right, they was just.
We had them come in and have lunch, and they visit the cafeteria and stuff, and they weren't in the system. I used to come in here all the time, not so much to eat
I
lunch.
think my
but
daughter
to see
would
what I
want
could
something.
do.
She's 6th grade now.
I've got on my list. Let me get an answer because we can speculate all day, and the answer might be, yes, you can. I just don't know.
And the
So
other
we'll
thing
find
is,
out.
we used to have grandparent day, we also used to, and I know everything in the world has changed, but we used to open up lunch because it's an inexpensive way for elderly people to have lunch. I don't know.
I know Epsom's having a grandparent day.
Yeah.
But they don't do like a company, they do their own.
Maybe that's what the difference is, maybe it's because we ran our own rules.
We used to get huge crowds for grandparent day.
Grandparent day was a wonderful thing
Huge.
for lunch, and they would make it really nice and
I think
special.
we had to move into the gym one time because we had such a big
Yes.
size.
So like this frozen
Last year,
butterflies.
they-
No, they weren't
Like-
uncrustable.
And do you remember when we went to Barrington, didn't they talk about doing like a whole turkey dinner?
Yeah.
Thing and everything?
Oh, we used to in my last district, we did a holiday meal as well. So it was one of the Fridays in December, like I said,
Yeah.
the second one in December, and the entire community was welcome. We actually got donations from all sorts of organizations, so.
This is community outreach.
Yeah.
And that's how you build
Yeah.
community with the school.
And people really appreciated
They
it.
do.
We filled our cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember we set up in the gym.
Yeah.
We had so many people, okay.
All sorts of things.
All right, so these are things to find out about, to see what we can do, but I do think
I know, me too.
parents should be able to come to.
Could do that.
In fact, Danielle does a thing, she did it last year. It was called a Student of the Week, and that Student of the Week got to bring family and have lunch, and she sat and had lunch with the student,
That's nice.
parents, and simple, anybody that came in with them. So they came in.
Like I said, I just don't know the mechanism,
Right.
but it may very well be already set up, so let me get you an answer.
Okay. Education committee, needs,
Yeah, Dean's meeting scheduled for October. So.
and no other, no, wellness
We
committee,
haven't had a meeting.
no, okay.
So I just thought of this the other day, because that policy allows for the board to have discretion in like bonus days and whatnot. Should we put it out there that if somebody wishes to have a extra day, that there's a path forward for them to just say, hey, send an email to the proper person if you want to do this, so they know there's a channel available. So there's none of this.
For wellness, for wellness.
For,
the-
yeah,
to
to,
have the extra, breaking the wellness committee.
Yes, because I still think that no matter what, there's gonna be a lot of mystery around it.
Right.
So just an avenue of it. If you wanna have a bonus day, send an email to this, blah, 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 whatever.
Didn't we change it to have 4 bonus days?
No, the wellness committee was gonna review the survey results.
Yeah, we
Do we
haven't
have
met yet. So I think what we talked about is the end of the year. Dave?
Oh, and then,
It was field day, wasn't it? or something?
No,
Yeah,
it's more
it's
like
the
a
end of the
classroom
year.
celebration
Okay.
day.
I got you.
so if we have the 4, if we have that, Eric, when you're talking about the extra day, was that when they talked about if it has something to do with the curriculum, if you're doing Cinco de Mayo?
That's
you're
already in
doing-
the policy.
Maybe an easy way to get an answer for yes, that it's acceptable, that
Yeah.
it exists. I mean,
Darn.
Yeah.
I'm all about the exception days in that.
There is that, there is, in the policy, it says that if you're doing something with the curriculum,
And they
Yeah,
can tie
just
almost, they can
present
tie
it.
almost anything
One of-
to it.
One of the things that, when we were crafting the policy that I wasn't fond of, and it was part of the feedback, so maybe the wellness committee can look at this, was, somebody gave feedback that like they would use, say, like marshmallows as part of like curriculum, right? And like I remember doing that as a kid, I don't know, 2 points
Right.
of marshmallows and build things with it, or maybe they use Cheerios or something like that, but like that's not allowed anymore. Like they can't do that, and so.
I don't know, I know that was an issue. I have to look at the wellness policy. I don't know it inside and out. I know that was brought up and,
Wouldn't that be covered by the curriculum piece that you just?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like,
Because if they're making a molecule and they're using
No.
toothpicks and marshmallows,
yeah,
that's a curriculum.
right.
You know,
No, I think there are exceptions.
Spaghetti and
Right.
marshmallows is the highest tower, who can build the tallest
Yeah.
tower. That's
Yeah.
I
not-
think that's what Eric's saying, is that there's confusion around that people can request to
So
be able to do that.
shoot the wellness, if anybody has confusions, shoot the wellness committee an email and
I agree.
Right.
Liz,
And that
can
way-
you add that to the wellness committee? agenda?
Yes, I have that.
All right,
written
perfect. I'm
down.
not gonna write it down. I'll let you.
Okay, no, it'll be mine.
Alrighty. Okay, transportation committee,
Or Eric.
okay, anything else, transportation?
nothing.
No, okay, athletic committee,
All right, so we had a Google Meet, in regards.
Yep.
In regards to dress code for, our athletic teams. We kind of want to go back to past practice of, kids dressing up before a game, for a game.
no, this is wrong. Button down dress shirt with tie, a sweater can be worn over it if they
Right.
want, but it's not a sweater or. Dress or khaki pants,
Right,
skirts or dresses.
Want to be in line with like Code Brown.
Jeans and t-shirts, get rid of it. Sports shirts. I'd get rid of that whole sentence and just put, start it with coaches may exercise discretion for specific circumstances due to medical and sensory needs, period. So that because first of all, if you have a sensory need, jeans might be scratchy.
Right.
You really
It's
might
different
want
with
something
each
soft,
child.
like a fleece lined something.
Mhm.
Additional coaches have Jersey Day. This should be, once or.
Once or twice a season, depending, you know, you might have a big game against a rivalry
Yeah.
or to celebrate the end of the season.
This should be no more than once or twice a season. I wouldn't put, well, I don't know, the way she words it, or way it's worded, seems like it should be, meaning it could be. more.
Okay, will only be.
Yeah, you got it.
And if we're doing that, maybe the second paragraph, we request, maybe change that to it is the expectation that.
Yeah, where is this?
The second paragraph, first line,
Yeah, therefore we request student athletes adhere to the following attire.
therefore it is the expectation.
Okay,
Yeah, it helps prepare them for Cole Brown, and
khaki.
that, you know,
Models.
they're a role model, they're in a leadership position in the school.
So can I just make sure I got the statement right? We understand that dressing up can have varying interpretations, therefore it is the expectation that student athletes adhere to the following attire on game days. Sweaters, no, actually, I'm gonna put that at the end. It should say button-down dress
I
shirt with a
agree.
tie, in parentheses. A sweater can be worn over it.
Yes,
Do you even need to, we understand that dressing up, it could just start with, it is the expectation that,
how do we,
Oh, okay.
it is the
Okay.
expectation.
So take off that whole sentence out of the way,
Yeah.
where therefore it is the expectation that student athletes adhere to the following attire on game days.
Right.
Button-down dress shirts with a tie, in parentheses, a sweater can be worn over it. Dress or khaki pants, shorts, or skirts / dresses. Anything about that statement changed? I just want to make sure I get this right,
Right.
so.
if you put sweaters may be worn over it, not sweatshirts.
Did-
Because some people might,
Not sweatshirt, okay.
Right.
because some people might consider a
I agree.
sweatshirt is,
You got it, not sweatshirts.
Did you strike therefore?
I took off I said, I started
Okay.
the sentence with it.
Okay, and this can go in the student handbook, which is online, right?
yes, yes.
And my understanding is the third paragraph is completely stricken.
No, just put, you're gonna get rid of the first sentence and the word however,
Okay.
and then just start, coaches may exercise discretion for specific circumstances due to medical or sensory needs.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Fourth paragraph, that was where we were gonna take off should and say this will
Will.
only. Is everything
Yes.
else staying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then what about the last paragraph?
Yes, should we? Yeah, I really do feel that there's no reason why we don't do something where we have stuff that people can,
Yeah,
Have
it
or
doesn't just
keep.
have to be financial assistance.
yeah,
Or
like if
can we
people,
just put
it's
assistance?
like, you know, and we could also put, this may not be for the handbook, but to put out there that we're collecting some dress clothes to put in case people would like to, you know, shop in our little closet or something.
We have to have, first, before we do that, we have to have somebody who's gonna be organizing
Yeah.
and in charge of it. So I think that's a great idea,
Right.
but I think that's something that we need to do
In the future.
in the future. Because I don't wanna put,
Right. We could also just organize like something for.
yeah,
Um,
like a swap.
like a swap, maybe during like, when they do that Christmas thing, or even when they do the trick or treat or something, have a table that people can bring clothes and if they wanna dress clothes, school sizes.
Do we want that in the procedure?
No, not the
Oh,
procedure.
okay, okay. This is a
This
discussion type.
This is I'm
We
just
can put a
saying,
Facebook post out. or
I'm
something
just
like
thinking that
Okay.
they should, people, my closets are overflowing with clothes. I have so much clothes. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, don't you want to give some of your stuff away if you're not using it? Like, when your kids grow out of things, like what do you do with it? Give it away.
I have a Duck Dynasty tie that came to me from the Christmas sale here.
Oh, you
Maybe
can't get rid of that.
No, I'm not getting rid of that one.
My
Why not?
son
I have a dog.
wearing the Duck Dynasty, getting the basketball award.
Katrina, can I just read that last paragraph? I think what I heard you say was we want to assure all families that assistance is available.
Yeah, I don't think I have
For
to
those
have
in
the
need.
word financial.
And you don't want to use assistance twice, so I said in need of support in obtaining the necessary
Yeah, that's
clothing.
great.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
If
I-
you require support, please do not hesitate to reach out to your
Excellent.
coach or athletic
Yeah.
director.
Right.
Anything else? I just want to make sure this is 100% accurate. I love all the other conversations. I would love to drum up support for these kids. I just want to make sure this is right so that we don't have to do this again.
I agree. Yeah, no, it looks good to me.
Does this need to be approved by the board with, obviously, the adjustments made?
Let's approve it. So it's, we have a
Yep,
motion.
so,
It's in writing
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
go ahead.
okay, so I move that we approve the dress code for athletic teams on game days as presented with the modifications made so that it is now included in the student handbook.
Okay, do we have a second?
A second?
Discussion? Good, and just to be clear, this follows the Co-Brown athletic dress attire. So these kids in middle school are getting prepared for Co-Brown because they're gonna play sports.
And I want,
Yes.
I want to mention that this is a past practice that was in existence forever
Yes,
and it disappeared during COVID.
yes, all the kids dressed
Forever.
like this until that year we had the COVID pandemic, and for 2 years, we didn't even have sports. So everything went away, and we're trying to get back to what we used to do. And we had a big change in administration, change in so many people that we don't want to lose who we are. And we want to go back.
When does it go into effect? I know we've heard everything from immediate all the way through second half of the year after the Christmas break. Are we still thinking postponing this, or is it effective immediately? I just need to know, so
I mean, I would think that if we start to roll it out now, but like hard in effect after Christmas break or whatever the next round of
Basketball
sports.
season.
Right, the next, like,
Yeah,
the
that-
winter sports
that we're
season.
hoping that this would start now.
Yeah.
However, it will be starting for the basketball season.
I do know some of the coaches already
They are.
require
I know soccer boys
Right.
are.
of winter sports, right?
winter
Winter
sports.
Yes.
I don't want to say basketball, because I
Right.
think we must have more than just basketball, don't we, or don't we?
No, I think that's fair.
I'm not sure.
So I'll just say winter sports. Okay, thank you so much.
The other thing I wanted to say, all the
Give the vote.
uniforms that were ordered or reordered from Collins have arrived.
Oh, perfect.
So everything was in.
All right, so Katrina?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Jess? Liz? And
Yes.
Debbie, yes. Good, get that done. Okay? All right, so Eric, you want to talk to us about the New Hampshire School Board Association?
Yes, so, I gotta look the email up here, hold on.
Thank you for getting all that food service information. Thank you.
Absolutely. More to come.
Did we already discuss how next meeting we're gonna vote on the
Resolution.
resolutions? Rob, do you have access to those to print them out? Do you want me to send them to you? I can send you the resolutions, a link to the resolutions. I don't know if you have them.
I don't have them right this second. If you
No,
want
no,
to
no,
send them-
no, just so they're printed out for the next packet.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That'd be lovely.
So I sent an email to NHSBA. And okay, I'll just read it. Eric, thank you for your email. Attached is Strafford's invoice for the 23-24 school year. So you can see the services your board has signed up for. Membership in the NHSBA provides the following services: legal consultation and assistance for school board members and administrators at no charge, access to a collective bargaining database, a function we provide in conjunction with NEANH, on-site school board training and no additional charge, legislative updates, updates regarding important educational matters impacting local school boards. The Strafford School Board has also paid to be a policy service subscriber. The subscription provides boards with access to our online policy database, as well as at least 2 policy updates per year, one in the fall and the other in the spring. Strafford School Board has also paid to be a webinar subscriber, meaning any and all board members can attend any and all of our webinars at no additional charge. The cost per webinar is $30 for boards that do not sign up for this subscription. Additional information can be found on our website.
How much is the subscription?
So our full membership is a dues rate of $33.81 and $3,300, $81.30. Our policy subscription is $450, and our workshop subscription is $250. So when I brought this up originally, it's just that this, any way you look at it, these dues are being used to lobby partisan laws, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that.
When you say, is the 450 and 250 in addition to the 3,300, or that's the a la carte?
That's in addition to, so we can subscribe solely for policy, and we could either do $250 for full access to webinars or $30 a la carte per webinar.
So we're paying really $4,000 is what I'm trying to get.
$4,081.30.
Are we paying $4,000?
Yes, we're paying over $4,000. Yes, Rob.
Okay.
He was very clear, I was in a meeting, and as I was sitting there, I said, hey, by the way, are these things separate? He said, no, those 2 are in addition to, but you have to have the first thing for the other 2 things to be offered. So if you didn't get that answer, it'd just be good for you to clarify that one.
Okay,
Because he told me it's not a la carte. You get the subscription, and if you wish to also have the other things, you pay additional. But they don't have those additionals without the base. He said the base is what makes them an organization. The other 2 things are just additional services that over time got demanded by boards, and then they added those. So I'm just letting you know that I got a different message than one that you just heard, and I just want to make sure that's really clear.
So it was 450 was policy and 250 was for the webinars? Or?
Well, the trainings,
The
yeah,
training?
the unlimited
Okay.
trainings, yeah.
Okay. So we should, if we do people, we should use the legal services more. That's for sure.
yeah, do we use the legal services at all?
I don't think we have it.
Policies.
I did use it.
Oh, you did, okay.
I haven't used it. Last time I used it was probably 2 years ago, but I used it several times. I think it was either as we were transitioning or the withdrawal. We had a lot of questions about things, and for the most part, you know, attorneys are, sometimes you don't get a black and white answer. You know, so I don't know if it would have been different if they were like your own attorneys. But it was nice to be able to call and get those legal services.
And now that I know it, it's like Primex. I go to Primex before I would go to our attorney on many, many matters,
Right.
knowing I didn't know, I don't know their services, so, because they're not my organization, they're your organization. But now that I know they have legal services, that could be a place that we go
I think
as a first step, like I do with Primex.
I'm pretty sure you can call it, not just board members. But Eric, is there a way during this delegate assembly, I know it's too late now to put together resolutions, but that you can share that, you know, is there a way that we're not subsidizing?
It's out there. I believe it was actually, it might have been a resolution that made it and was voted against.
They've stepped back considerably, like the national organization, if you remember, went rogue. I think it was a couple years ago, and the state organization separated itself because they weren't willing to go rogue with the national organization.
They put a statement out. And
Yeah.
I think because a lot of people were going to leave because of what was going on with the national organization. And they said, we know
We're
how people
separated.
feel,
Yeah.
we're not doing that.
Yeah, we did leave this, they did leave the national
They did.
organization, yeah.
I understand what you're saying because you don't want to like support political things with taxpayer funds.
Right.
That's like some of the things you benefit from, it's, I don't know what other
Well,
people.
so I will confirm with
Please.
Mr. Christina what Rob said, and just that they were listed separately, I figured those were all the car options, but if that is not the case, I'll let you guys know and go from there.
Does anybody else have any opinions on this? Feelings? Liz has her mouth. full.
I
She
have
wants to
lots of
say-
thoughts going through my head. I mean, the state, I don't want to get real political here,
Right.
but like the state of
Oh,
public.
gosh.
The state of public education in New Hampshire is really, I mean, we have, this is my opinion, I mean, I feel like our political people that we've elected are taking our poor public schools brick by brick, and we're struggling. And I personally, my opinion, I have money that I pay that's going to pay for religious schools. We're giving people money so they can send their schools away from public schools. I have a huge problem with that. And I understand what Eric is saying, but I also feel like the New Hampshire School Board Association is trying to protect public schools. I'm here because I want to see public schools succeed, not fall apart. So I do understand the whole political thing. Unfortunately, politics interferes with a lot of stuff.
It does.
And it shouldn't, but, yeah, I don't wanna keep going.
Is it, I guess I would like to know if there are things that they're supporting that are not so much for basic education, but are things that are based on your opinion of, you know what I'm saying?
See,
Like some of those topics that might not be just about education, but it's about some other things. Is that what they're doing? Because I really, not.
They are based on how their members vote. I mean, an example that most people will not disagree with would be that they want to see the state pay 100% for every lunch. So kids eat lunch for free. So that's something everyone agrees with. But we're just in the climate where there's such a partisan divide. It's such a divisive time that this can be, I mean, a school board is not, by law, the school board is not there to promote and advocate legislatively for public education. We're here to follow the laws of the state and do the best we can for our students with the system that is in place that our citizens of the town are willing to support. So it stinks that it's all political, but it is.
So are they only supporting, because when I read some of the newsletters we get, it will say, we're supporting this, we're not supporting that, we're supporting this, we're not supporting that. But I don't see that that's necessarily what that comes out of the delegate
No,
assembly.
their opinions are based on the way the delegate electorate votes. So say there was a massive bill that was funding the whole state. It included funding for prisons, funding for schools, funding for and the proposal for school lunches was on that, the NHSBA would speak to the school lunch portion of it. They speak to the portion of the bill that has been voted on by their,
Only the bills that have been voted on by
only the
by
portion of the
delegates?
bill, but it is still oftentimes a partisan bill that is being, it's lobbying.
Right. Well, I guess if they're following the delegates, then they're following, the delegates are the school board members that are going, then they're doing what the school board members are asking them to do. If they're just if they're just forming their own opinions, that's different. I don't know.
Would you like Barrett to come and speak to you? I'm sure he'd say yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Would you like Barrett to come speak to you? He's the president, I don't know what they call him.
Right.
He's the top position at the state level
Right.
for this.
Yeah.
Oh, has he come to you guys before?
Not when I was on the board, but I think that was.
I don't know if he came or if we had somebody else from the New Hampshire School Board Association come. Sometimes they also will come and they will talk to you if you're doing a search for
Sure.
an administrator, but then they want to charge you $10,000.
Yeah.
So you think it's a free service and they come to you and they say,
Yeah.
we can do this and we can do that. And you say, well, thank you. And it's, our cost is only $10,000.
Well, and I
That's
mean,
a service outside
they
of the
might,
membership agreement.
they don't really I mean, you're not legally bound to them. I mean, if they make suggestions.
Right.
It's just, I think they want to protect public education.
As long as it's just the education and not other issues around that.
Social, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Social issues.
That other people might have different opinions on.
So those are often injected into the resolutions.
Right, but we're not bound by those resolutions.
No, it's just more that he's saying like we pay them $3,000 to basically go do that lobbying.
Mhm.
That's the fact that we're
You
supporting
need to be
them.
more powerful when you're a delegate.
I can't, I'm only there to vote the way the school board
Okay.
told me to vote. There's
But you
no,
can't
there's
get
no
up and
public
speak.
comment.
You can't get up and push.
There's a
it.
little bit of comment, but there's no,
People can't speak against something or for something to sort of help get support or not support.
yes, they can. I would have to be, directed by the board to do that.
Right, and,
I
and
think-
he's not gonna,
Yes.
everybody else has been directed to vote a certain way,
I-
so.
And the decisions have already been made.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the meeting, when I went to the meeting last year, it was not run like a school board meeting is run. The decisions are already made, and nobody can change their mind there. So it's kind of, it's a formality.
But you told me that you weren't supposed to have the decisions already made by the board. That you were supposed to be able to listen and then formulate your own decision based on board input, but also what you were hearing. No? Isn't that what you said
No.
last time?
No, I think last time I said that maybe they should revamp how they do it so that there's an avenue for discussion ahead of time.
Okay.
Liken it to us making a motion and voting on it, we discuss it
Right.
and go back and forth.
Right.
That avenue exists in like May to June when you're proposing resolutions or something.
Because wasn't there like didn't we interpret things differently?
We did.
And so you
Yes.
were already, we instructed you to vote a certain way, but then you knew that that's not what our intention was.
Yes,
Because
you're
we all
right.
interpreted it
You're right,
differently.
you're right.
I do.
So it's like, it's
I
just
remember that now,
weird-
yeah.
And I will
Yeah,
say.
I'm glad that you do it, Eric. I would not
I
want you to
wouldn't
go
do
do
it.
that.
I would not.
The longer you attend, the more voice you have. Like you probably have, what's his name from Chester?
Yeah, it's Royal, right?
Royal.
Yeah, I was,
Royal
we
is,
were like two in a crowd of 100.
the people who are there, get sort of recognized, they know how to to run the show, basically, to do. So,
I'd also say that even though the voice may not be able to change this year's, your message might linger. Like a lot of people might leave that meeting going, gee, I wish I thought of it that way. They come back, they have that conversation, and the next year you might have a long-term effect on people's decision-making.
you could have come forward with a resolution
That
about
too.
that and keep bringing it, that same resolution. If, as far as any bill that has to do with social issues that are not directly related to the education of our students, we want you to stay out of it. We don't want your lobbying. But if it's, you know what I mean? Like, we could have a resolution about that, because everybody
Yes.
knows you get to a certain level and there's a lot of disagreement on some things. The basics, everybody wants their kids to be educated, we want to provide a good education for our kids, but then there's other things that people have different opinions on. So that are the pieces that you prefer them to stay out of. Is that what I'm hearing you say? Or is it everything?
I don't think it should be anything public money spent on
The fact that
lobbying
they're just
legislators.
lobbying,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get some more information next time, and I'll make a motion if I feel it's appropriate, and the board can vote how they feel it's appropriate.
I really do think we could, we were responsible for a resolution that passed. Bruce actually did it. He crafted it, we worked with him, and he was the delegate forever. And it was to get the state testing from the fall to the spring, because they used to do the state testing in the fall, and they felt like, that is, the kids have been away from school for so many months. So, and he was able to speak to it, it got passed. So our name was on that resolution. We can do that, we just have to be prepared and think of something we really want. But the legal fees, I will say, other than, I know what you're talking about, some of the things you don't want them to get involved in, we really should be using them for the legal fees.
Yeah, now that we know that, I mean, if you
I mean, we need to
keep
get
a
our money's worth.
tally of how much you talk to them, and maybe it might make sense right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, alrighty, so next, wait, we're gonna set the future board meetings, we'll go with the other. Okay, so October 11th, if that we do, and then October 25th, that's gonna be our first pass of the budget, right? Alrighty, did we have something else we were gonna do? I thought we said we had something else we wanted to do at that meeting. Okay, November 8th,
Most likely is your joint board meeting, but I still don't have official word from Co-Brown yet. I'm just assuming it will be based on previous years.
so we would then have our meeting right after that at Cobra. Okay. And then the 29th,
It's not on the fourth week because of Thanksgiving.
right, and then we go into the 13th, and hopefully we're done for the year after that, if, could be, possibly. We would have to work on those windows in January, because we definitely would have to get for the 28th, or for the,
I think I'd put an RFP probably because I need to give them time to get responses, and you all don't have time to go to a board meeting to build them up. Because they'll be sealed. So,
okay. So we have other, and Rob has an other for us.
I think I sent this to you. Yeah, that was my copy, because that's what I sent it. We had a traffic accident out in front of our building. And the feedback that came out of kind of a post-conversation on that was that we didn't have any signage on that entrance that says one way, do not enter, anything of that nature. So that's, if you look at the picture down where it says C and D, so down at the bottom, that's where we're missing signage. That's where the accident occurred. The person actually went off into the ditch right around where D is, trying to avoid a car that was coming out that way. And so, anyway, the suggestion from our police chief, the suggestion from my administration of the building is that some signage there that's very clear would hopefully make this less likely to occur again in the future. At the same time we were having that conversation, A and B came up as well. That should be also a do not enter. And right now there is quite literally nothing there to indicate to somebody coming around the circle that they can't keep going straight. And so the fear is that when this parking lot's full, you can't see around those cars until you're going around the cars, and there's a fear that there's going to be a head-on right there. So while we're thinking of signage down here, there was thoughts about signage here. The last piece of this was, right now, people park all over this open space waiting to pick up or drop off their children. And the problem is that we find people waiting in that line who aren't there to pick up or drop off, they just got stuck. And when I say they start early, I'm not joking.
I know, it must be nice.
It's insane how early it starts. So even just the other day, I was trying to leave at, I think it was like 2:15. And I was coming this way to go out that way, and I couldn't because there was a car dead center, and I couldn't go to the right or the left without going into grass. So then luckily nobody was behind me, I backed into an open parking space, went back this way, but now I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
The superintendent is going the wrong way.
what else was I supposed to do? Wait for an hour and a half? I was going to a meeting. So once again, the thought here was, should we try and divide this open space into a waiting lane and a driving lane? I think, when I look at it, there's definitely enough space.
Is there?
We actually, when we had that thing last year, we did the emergency dismissal, we forced, at first we were in chaos, but as we got more organized, we forced everybody to as far left as they could go, and it opened up a driving lane, which was very important at that point, because we had tons of people picking up their kids all over the place, needing to get out of that line, so they weren't holding the line up. So we did it last year in an emergency situation. I think if we were to somehow put some sort of line down this thing, re-explain to everybody how this is going to work, hopefully we'd be able to provide a continuous moving space for vehicles to get out of this mess.
Yeah.
Because once the mess starts to form, it is a nightmare, and it lasts forever because, like I said, people start lining up so early.
The other thing is, it's just like a confusing setup, because I believe that this was a parent from a different town.
It was.
So not familiar with our setup, and if you're somebody who isn't familiar, right, you show up, you can't pull in this way, it says do not enter, you can't pull in over here because it says buses only at this time, and over here's the police station, so how the heck, there's cars right there, how the heck do I know where to go?
Did they know if the second driveway was up there? Because there's a giant speed trap that maybe was blocking their view,
I asked
that
the same
giant
question
radar
about that. I
sign.
asked the same question
I
about that sign.
think the problem there is that if that parent had tried to go in the second entrance, they would have run into the back of the buses.
Yeah.
So I'm in agreement with Katrina that doing some additional signage down lower, so our Strafford School District sign is set back a ways. It also says Strafford School District, not Strafford Elementary School.
Yeah,
Like,
almost like, I don't know if it should be like
Enter
Stratford
here.
School parking,
Yeah.
or Stratford School entrance or something that they
Agreed.
realize, it's.
Entrance.
the emergency piece is the do not enters, but the added, hey, let's support people that don't know us very well, like how do I get into this
Right.
place?
Yeah.
We don't have to decide today.
we
Obviously, we need
should.
more time to think about it. I just wanted to make sure you understand this. I agree,
noticed
this is
that
a
today.
true safety concern.
I think you should
Here
get your
and
signs now. I think
Okay.
you should get your signs for A, B, C, and D.
I do.
Do we want them on both sides? I said, do you want them A and not B, or do you want A and, you know what I mean? I wanted you to be able to pick where you think it makes the most sense. Something, right here. So $75 for 24 by 24 or $115 for 30 by 30. And I'd actually have to see it to see what makes more sense. I'm a visual person. I think 30 by 30 is what the city uses when they have do not enters, but do you need it to be that big? I don't know.
Maybe we'd get the larger ones
For out
down by
there.
the road and then the smaller ones
for up there.
Yeah, that might be over.
And I wasn't sure if you wanted something fancier. You can see underneath, there's fancier designs out
I
there.
mean, even when I showed up today, there
Right
was two
sides.
trucks that pulled in one behind the other in between C and D.
Yeah.
It's just, and then turned in between A and D, right?
Yeah.
So
Are there red ones? Oh, the
These
do
are,
not enter, okay.
these are red circles with white
I
lines.
think these
letters.
are, I think for the road, let everybody see them.
Oh,
Oh,
this is the one that they use in a lot of locations on
Yes,
public
for the
roads.
road.
I also see these though as well, one way do not enter, so it could be a combination of that above and that below,
One of each.
or, I don't know what you want, I really wanted you to have some.
These need to be
ability
by
to
the
think about
streets. This is, people need to be able to see that, that's dangerous.
this. So C and D, 30 by 30s, do not enter, big red dots, okay. And up above A and B, same thing, just maybe slightly smaller or even the same size, anything you want, just tell me what you want, we'll make it happen. Does it need to be both A and B, do we only need one, I don't know.
If you do just the plain, the one-way do not enter what is
Yep,
this?
That's a sign, that's
What's it called?
18 by 24.
See, you're doing,
Oh,
no,
the
these
third
are-
one down, yeah,
The third one down,
yeah.
those are, those you could do two up there, because they're not that big, and they're not,
I don't know that people will read them if they're not read though.
so you think we should do all four like this?
I'd almost do the smaller, yeah.
Smaller,
Do
yeah,
all red, but do the smaller.
the smaller ones up above, okay.
That's just.
Okay, no, I agree with you.
I agree.
I agree. So we're doing the two larger red ones
C
For
and
the
D,
road.
by the road, the two smaller red ones,
for A and B.
A
I
and
think
B.
that's a
And
good
then,
idea.
as far as drawing the white line, I think we need to get a cost of those. Do you have a cost of
I
those?
don't, this
If
was,
people want that.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
dive into that one until people
Of
said, yes, I
course.
like the idea.
Yeah, no, we should do
Well,
that.
Maybe we should get a cost and put it in the budget.
Has there ever been an email that goes out about that? Because I also know there's a staff member who visits every car every day in that line, hand out a little, hey, pull over. I'm not a fan of signs.
They're not very good at doing it, so that's why the white line would indicate this is your
I
side.
think it's a good idea.
We don't have to
The
put the
white
words,
line.
when it says waiting line, that was for you. Like, I don't imagine us writing big old words on the road.
Because people,
That was for you all to see, like I meant, like there's
We
two
just have
sides
to
to this
get
line.
a cost.
Yeah, no, I can definitely do that, I mean, I just wanted, before, like I said, I didn't want to go and assuming that you were gonna want this or anything else, this isn't a rush, it's just like, even like, Katrina, the sign you're talking about, which I don't even have on the picture, we really probably should have something over there saying, hey, you can enter this way,
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah. Yeah, everything just says do not enter, they're like,
I can never go to
Do
school,
not.
I don't know how to get in. But once again, I can get you some samples of that and you can try and figure that out, we don't have to rush to this.
I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I just have, my daughter's in the Air Force, and she just got a promotion, she's gonna be senior airman E4.
Nice. E4 is the magic line, you cross that, you're an NCO.
excellent.
If we do have somebody that comes in to say do like blood painting up here, it may be beneficial as well. Like maybe there is, but I can't see it. You know, there's like between C and D, there's the arrow pointing out.
There
There's
is.
like the stop line. You know, is that
Oh,
like
yeah.
a stop sign?
There is no line there.
Yeah, if there was, because that's like
I
another
agree.
visual thing. If I see us
Right.
that across the road, I know I don't go that way.
No, that's a good one.
I have a question, it's a little bit unrelated, but I saw the state doing work on, I don't know, ditch one.
Yeah, I did too, last Thursday.
I was trying to figure out what they were doing.
Yeah.
I don't think they might have
It was-
paved
it was-
a little
it
bit.
It was out on the
washed.
pool.
It was
It got
washed out.
They were
Yeah.
cutting into the
Oh.
pavement and putting some patch.
My understanding is that they're gonna fill and pave a little bit further over to hopefully try and
They're
avoid
going
the,
to fill it.
nothing like what we were asking, but like they're gonna try and stop that washout from occurring.
Yeah, when we got the really heavy rains and
I
washed
saw
it.
Maybe we
that.
should point out, really,
I saw that too, when I came up.
It was actually this, I think the same day they were out there doing some work. Then
Yes.
later that day, there was the car in the ditch.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
I'm like,
all right, so we're going with the signs, we're gonna get it, for the next meeting, we'll find out about the cost for the other thing, that's it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
any public comments?
And public comments, no? Okay. All righty, we have the other motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, have a second?
I will second, it is 9:38.
Okay, Eric,
Yes.
Liz.
Yes.
Katrina.
Yes.
Jess. Debbie, yes. Thank you, everybody, and thank you. Liz and I had a great time at the Litchfield trivia. That was so beautiful.
That's all you have to do.
A beautiful, great white parrot.